Welcome to episode 67 of Central Intelligence Cinema. Today, Jason and I will be reviewing the 1983 spy movie, The Jigsaw Man, featuring Michael Caine and Sir Laurence Olivier. But without further ado, take it away, Pierce.
Beg your pardon, forgot to knock.
Welcome to the CIC, initiating security clearance.
My name is Napoleon Solo. Bond. James Bond.
Natasha Romanoff.
Ethan Hunt.
Felix Leiter.
Elsa Faust. Identity confirmed.
Now, pay attention, 007.
Welcome to Central Intelligence Cinema, a podcast dedicated to spy movies and secret agent pop culture.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Do you expect me to talk?
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
Yeah, baby!
Special agent, you're not having a very special day, are you?
But remember, nothing ever goes according to plan.
Tom, what do you think you're doing?
Keeping the British hand up, sir. The state will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Recording from an undisclosed location down by the river, where we could see the people, but the people couldn't see us. It's Central Intelligence Cinema Podcast. I'm Jason Greenberg, and with me, as always, Ben Esslinger.
Thank you, Jason, and welcome back to the CIC. That was a good one, man. I like that. But yes, welcome back to the CIC, the spy movie podcast that is hiding all our secrets somewhere inside an old church, because apparently that's what all the best spies do. Apparently. I mean, if it's good enough for this piece of crap, it's good enough for Michael Bay.
That's right. Hey, just so you know, from now on, we're going to be releasing this podcast in microfilm format only.
Only. And you'll have to go to an old church to retrieve it.
Yeah, and pull it out of an angel's ass.
That's how you're going to get all your podcasts from us going forward.
Sorry, just has to be that way. Because we must emulate the finest spy movie that I have ever watched in my entire life.
This is a classic, a certified...
This movie is so good it makes The Assignment look bad.
Oh, boy. What a stinker we've got on board for you today.
I mean, this may be... It probably isn't the very first straight-to-video movie that was ever made, but it sure feels like it's the prototype for it.
Right. It's like people saw this movie and went, you know what? We should build an industry around movies that just go straight to video because nobody wants to see this in the theater.
Utter garbage.
Good Lord. But hey, Bond connections? Check.
Hey.
Nicolas Cage connections? Check.
Hey.
Michael Bay connections? You bet.
Hey-o.
Buckle up, kids, because today we are covering the catastrophe of a spy movie known as The Jigsaw Man.
There are a few puzzle pieces missing in this particular jigsaw.
So many puzzle pieces missing. I'll tell you the big one, though. It's money. Yeah. That's the one big puzzle piece missing from this movie.
Yeah, this house didn't buy my mother, or this movie didn't buy my mother a house. This movie didn't buy shit because I barely got paid for it.
Because he walked off set at one point. Well, it was 1983. So where was Michael Caine in his... He was already a huge movie star at that point.
Well, you know, his career was kind of waxing a little at that point.
Okay.
I mean... and waxing in the same way that maybe Sean Connery's was, right?
Okay.
They both become men of a certain age.
Right.
Right. And so their prospects weren't as popular as they were. But then they both had a renaissance in the 80s.
Like late 80s?
Yeah, mid to late 80s, you know, where everything... I mean, like, for Connery, it was The Untouchables. Okay. Right? You know, he got the Academy Award nom. All of a sudden, like, oh, this guy's an actor. Duh. He didn't just carry around a gun and look suave. I'm
just shocked he didn't just straight up walk off this and never come back. Because this thing is...
It's utter garbage.
It is so bad. But we're going to dissect the hell out of it. And we're going to have a good time doing it.
Hell yeah. You could tell we're already primed.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a good time. But should we get into this piece of crap?
Oh, yes. Let's.
In return for betraying his country, they removed his past, destroyed his reputation, and finally, they even took away his life.
Welcome to the KGB, Comrade Kuzminski.
So begins a sinister mission, and one man's fight to stay alive in the deadliest game of all.
In return for the dossier you've hidden, there are 1 million Swiss francs to your credit in a numbered account in Zurich.
Dollars would be nicer.
He is the man in the center of a terrifying puzzle.
They transformed him and brought him here
for a purpose that only he could accomplish for.
Get out! Get out now! Get down, Kimberly!
Michael Caine, Sir Laurence Olivier, Susan George, and Robert Powell. The Jigsaw Man.
Okay, The Jigsaw Man, released in 1983. Released is a loosely used term here because this went basically straight to video. I think it was out in the theaters for like a week.
Was it though?
Well, here, I don't even know. Here's the other thing too, is the version that both me and Jason watched is a terrible copy, and it may be the best copy that's out there. It's not even 16:9.
No, it's 4:3. It's straight up video format with all of the wonderful things that you remember from your childhood of watching VHS, like rainbow trees.
Yeah.
And really bad definition.
Yeah, like it's so SD. Oh my God, it's so bad.
I almost wish...
Like, is this a master copy of it?
I almost wish they got a shitty VHS copy so you'd get the scan lines.
The scan lines,
and the occasional bit of static where the tape was damaged. It would have actually enhanced the watching experience because it would have felt more Blair Witch Project at least.
Right. Maybe like a little time, some time code.
Little timestamp over there with a little blinking record button.
Might actually help this movie. But here's the crazy thing, is this movie was directed by Terrence Young of James Bond notoriety. I mean, Terrence Young directed Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Thunderball. It's bonkers. It should also be mentioned that Peter Hunt was the editor from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Icarus File, The Persuaders. This guy has edited everything. This movie had all the makings of something great.
Right.
This movie should have been great, and it is not great.
It is not great.
Oh, I'm sorry. Peter Hunt was not editor on this. He was second unit director, but doesn't really even matter. It's just...
He clearly didn't show up.
Nobody showed up. I don't understand how this movie is such a clunker. It makes no sense to me. I kind of want to put some of this on Terrence Young just for a bit of background here. This film was inspired by the story of Kim Philby, a British intelligence officer who was secretly working for the KGB, then defected to the Soviet Union in 1963. Now, this movie's screenplay was based on a novel by Dorothy Bennett, who was married to Terrence Young. And from everything I've read about this movie is that the screenplay is very faithful to the book. And the book was very poorly received. But I think it was one of those things where Terrence Young was still kind of attached to his ex. And they just rolled with it. And man, oh God. It's so bad.
I will say, before we go any deeper, that this movie in the right hands of a writer
could have been
the
fantastic.
Story, and we don't need a director, obviously.
Right.
If somebody had come in, a real Hollywood screenwriter had come in and said, 80% of this book is good, 20% is garbage. We're going to write a movie around the 80% and fill in the bits.
Yeah.
This could have been a phenomenal, because the basic conceit is fine.
Yeah.
And I think where it starts to lose any kind of coherency is the fact that it's almost like they try to turn this into some sort of I had daddy issues kind of thing. And I'm trying to resolve them through a screenplay because my dad abandoned me when I was young. And
the daughter character is so...
The father-daughter interactions are the absolute worst part of this movie.
It's impossibly stupid. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Absolutely.
So Philip Kimberly, who is played by Michael Caine, was based on the double agent Kim Philby. And when this was first announced in 1976 with Mike Hodges directing, Philby was apparently aghast at the casting of Michael Caine and wanted to be portrayed by Trevor Howard, who was in The Third Man with Orson Welles.
It's funny that a guy that betrayed his country thinks he should get any say in who gets to play him in a movie.
Yeah, right?
It's like,
okay, sure. Okay.
And it's also funny that this movie started in 76 but didn't get released until 83.
Well,
right? So this, if Michael Caine was cast in 76, he was still a pretty big thing in 76.
Yeah. Originally, this movie was actually supposed to be directed by Mike Hodges, who did Get Carter and Pulp, but he ended up walking away from it just so many problems that happened during this movie. Filming began in 1982, but the film hit financial troubles and was reportedly shut down due to cash difficulties. Laurence Olivier, who is in this movie, had been ill, kind of on and off since the late 1970s. He collapsed on set at one point. He also apparently walked away from the film after receiving no pay, along with Caine. The actors then finally returned after $4 million was secured as financed by a Pakistani businessman named Mahmood Sipra. And then resultingly, he received exec producer credit for it. It's a mess. Anyway.
Well, then you have to kind of wonder, with the $4 million, was he really flexing his muscles on the kind of movie he wanted to see? So was he affecting the director's choices? Was he affecting screenwriting choices? Because it's my money.
Yeah.
And I think this is how we should do it.
Yeah.
It had so much potential. I feel like somebody should just come back and remake this thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Make it a better movie.
Absolutely. I mean, going into photography here, cinematography was by Freddie Francis, who did Dune, The Elephant Man, Cape Fear. He also directed a lot of old horror flicks, something called Dr. Terror's House of Horrors.
Woo!
The Skull, and Tales from the Crypt, just to name a few. So the guy was clearly no slouch. It was more a case of what he had to work with. As far as music goes, this music feels very TV-y.
Yes, it does.
Almost Conti-esque.
Yes. Very synthy.
But we do have a theme song by Dionne Warwick called Only You and I.
You only get it at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like No Way Out level bad music. I mean,
yeah. By the numbers, aside from the $4 million that they got to get the film back up and running, I actually couldn't find any financial information. And like we said earlier, the film basically went straight to video. It also made British movie history as the first time that a film with Michael Caine and Sir Laurence Olivier wasn't released for showing in UK cinemas because it was that bad.
Yeah.
The British public were only able to see the film from autumn of 1985 when it was released on video.
So then I guess that implies that maybe it had released outside of the UK then?
It sounds like it had like a targeted release towards specific audiences, but not for the general public.
That's fair. Because I mean, this feels like it was a British production.
Yeah.
Lock, stock, and barrel.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't feel like they were making it for our market at all out here. This thing would have tanked harder than a thing that tanks really hard.
It would it would have tanked really hard, even if it didn't look as crappy as it did.
Well, I mean, I would love to have seen the actual film version of this before it was edited down for video.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, all the good stuff in it definitely had a Bond vibe with the car chases and stuff like that. So I don't know. I kind of felt like I was watching a really poor version of A View to a Kill here.
Wow.
I mean, in terms of how the shots were set up, it just felt like they were trying to film it like a Bond movie.
Yeah. Well,
but it was not a Bond movie content at all.
Well, Terrence Young.
Yeah.
Working with the smallest budget ever and probably no good producer there. That's one thing I will mention, too, is that I feel like this is what happens when you have all these Bond alumni, but nobody like Cubby Broccoli to steer the ship.
Right.
To keep the ship going forward.
Or even to have a respect of the material.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm sure Cubby was a manager of people.
Right.
But everybody working on a Bond movie has a level of respect for the movie.
Yeah.
That nobody's having here.
Nobody.
Because here's the problem. If your two principal actors are unhappy with the movie, they're not driving it.
Nope.
Also, who was first on the call sheet on that one?
Probably Laurence Olivier.
You would think, but it's obviously Michael Caine's movie.
It is, but
I would love to know the answer to this one. They just go, no, it's him. We're going to let him be the first one. Because he's Sir Laurence Olivier.
He's older.
I'm just Michael Caine. That's all. It's not a big deal. Let him be it.
That's right.
I'll just show up when I do, but when he leaves, I'm leaving too.
And speaking of all the main characters here, we have Philip Kimberly / Sergei Kuzminski, played by Michael Caine, doing, honestly, probably some of the worst acting of his career.
You know,
and I don't know, and again, terrible script, but like really, like his accents are laughable.
We were just talking about in the Intel report that we did prior to this episode about how Tom Cruise can't do accents.
Yeah.
I don't think that Michael Caine can do accents either.
I don't think he can either. That American accent is just...
Well, I'm just a person that's obviously from Britain, Great Britain, that is pretending to be from Oklahoma. Actually, mine was actually better. Sorry.
Yours was better.
Sorry.
By a long shot. Also, your Russian accent's better as well.
That was Russian? I thought it was like, I don't know, like maybe Pakistani or something. It makes more sense now that you say that.
Yeah. And then we've got Admiral Sir Gerald Scaife, played by Laurence Olivier. The Sir
Laurence Olivier.
Sir Laurence Olivier.
Correct.
Excuse me. And honestly, despite all his health issues, I actually thought was one of the better... I mean...
I gotta disagree with you on that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Maybe it's just because I enjoyed him the most. How about I'll put it that way. Even though he's basically this one note where he's just grouchy old guy who's M.
Right.
Who is just going to be grouchy through the whole movie.
The cantankerousness was fine. It was just not a level of Laurence Olivier performance that I ever expected to see Laurence Olivier perform.
Right.
And you can tell his heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Maybe.
And you can kind of tell he wasn't doing too well health-wise either.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to pick on a good man while he's down. I'm just saying it almost felt very improv to me, his performance in certain circumstances. Like, this dialogue is garbage. I'm going to wing it.
Right. Well, in a sense, I think about that, what is that coat called?
The Vicuna. A very fine Vicuna, Vicuna coat.
A very fine Vicuna coat. That whole thing felt improvised.
Absolutely.
And that's probably why I enjoyed it so much, because he's just winging it and cutting this character down in the process, and it was probably the one enjoyable part of the movie for me, because so much of this movie was not enjoyable that him just going off on this guy just felt good to watch, even if it was all improv.
Yeah, but it got so very, very British in some spots that I literally could not understand what was happening. I mean, I speak English. I realize I don't speak the Queen's English, but sometimes it's indecipherable to me what's being said.
Right.
And I'm like, I refuse to put subtitles on.
See, my hearing is so bad, I have to put the subtitles on at this point.
Maybe that's how I should just start watching, and then if I like the movie, I could turn them off on the final viewing.
That's right.
It's for research, honey. So who else is in this garbage piece of garbage?
So then we've got Penelope Kimberly / Annabelle Kimberly.
Plays her own mother.
She plays her own mother, played by Susan George, who is very much a B movie star. She was in Straw Dogs, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, Mandingo, and Enter the Ninja.
That's where I remember her from.
From Enter the Ninja.
Holy shit. Yes.
And here's the thing. I don't think she's a terrible actress. I don't think she's a great actress. I think she's
adequate.
She's adequate. But give her this terrible script, and this character of Penelope is so bad because she's so inconsistent as a character. On one hand, they try and make her smart, and then on the other hand, they make her impossibly stupid.
Well,
she makes some of the dumbest decisions later on. Like, at the beginning, you think she's capable. Allegedly, she speaks like 5 languages.
Right.
She's a translator. She can do all these things. And then she makes the dumbest fucking decisions.
Because the plot requires her to. Because it's poorly written script.
Right. And it's just, but what that means, though, is that then her acting suffers because she has to then change who this person is.
Yes.
And in a really awkward sort of way, and just sort of, well, this is what the script says. This is what the dialogue I have to spit out now.
Right.
So I guess I'm going to say it.
Right.
And I don't know how to say something this stupid, so it's going to come out as bad acting.
She probably turned over to Terrence at one point and said, did George Lucas write this script? Because you can read this, but you can't say it.
Then we have Jamie Fraser, the dashing CIA agent. Or is he a CIA agent?
He's not a CIA agent.
No? Is he British?
Yeah, he's British.
All right. Movies, you can't even tell who's who in this.
It's so mushy.
It is so mushy. Anyways, he is played by Robert Powell, who's fine. He's just sort of...
He plays the semi-stick-up-the-butt
MI5
guy.
He's supposed to be sort of dashing and
who's also stoinking the main character's daughter, who's clearly significantly younger by the story that they're telling.
Oh God! Well, I mean, we'll get into that. He's icky. He's an icky man.
He's a little icky.
Speaking of icky, oh boy! Then we've got Sir James Chorley, played by none other than ex-Blofeld Charles Gray. He
had one stage direction in this entire script. It was be creepy.
Well, and I hate to say it, this is 1983, man. This is be the creepy homosexual.
Yeah.
I mean, it you know,
it really is.
I'm just going to say it plainly. I mean, they went with that stereotype. You've kind of played the creepy homosexual before, so we're going to cast you as that.
Right.
I mean,
well, you know, we can't apologize for 80s ick.
Yeah, exactly.
We can only look forward to 2020's ick.
Right. Now, I will say, Charles Gray, really good at playing icky.
Oh yeah.
He's real good at playing creepy as hell.
He was the only consistent portrayal in this entire film.
Yeah, for sure.
From soup to nuts, all the way across.
Absolutely, 100%. Also of note is the character General Zorin. Does he have a blimp?
I wonder.
Played by Vladek Shibal, who was also in From Russia with Love as the chess guy Kronstein at the beginning of it. And that's not where the Bond references end. Then we also have the Vicar, played by Anthony Dawson, who was in Dr. No as Professor Dent, as well as Blofeld in both From Russia with Love and Thunderball.
Really?
Yeah. And then finally, we've got Milroy, played by Michael Medwin, who is also the doctor at Shrublands in Never Say Never Again. Wow. So the Bond references do not stop.
So Terry was calling a lot of cards on this.
He was calling everybody he knew from the Bond industry and brought them all in to work on this giant piece of garbage. Well, we better get into it.
Please.
All right.
Please.
Here we go.
I'm very excited.
So we open on the Soviet flag flying over what I can only assume is Moscow. We see a car pull up to some apartment building, and the guy that comes out, Boris, very mustache twisty, but slash
porn star. Hello there, I'm Dmitry Big Schlongovich. I'm here to take you to your new thing if you want to see what I'm talking about.
All he needed to do was be carrying a pizza.
Right?
So he heads into the building and immediately walks into Philip Kimberly's flat. And can I just say, so the actor that's playing Philip Kimberly before, okay, spoiler alert. So
there are no spoilers. This is a review.
All right. So Philip Kimberly has surgery to become a different looking person, aka Michael Caine. So the before of Philip Kimberly is played by Richard Allen, and they overdub Caine's voice, which is hilarious and weird and messes with my head.
It's very strange.
It's right up there with Face Off when you see Travolta, or is it Travolta with
Cage's face and Cage with Travolta's face?
Yeah, and the voice doesn't match.
Right.
It's the same weird shit.
Yeah, it's not. Although kudos to the sync.
The sync was dead bang on,
right?
Which is why it was actually effective for me, at least. Well, because I'm like, right at the beginning of it, I was like, is this like good prosthetics, or is this just good dubbing?
Or is this just a good impressionist that can do Michael Caine, right?
Right. Well, and the quality of the video was so bad, I did have a moment where I was like, well, this is maybe prosthetics then.
Yeah.
Because nothing was crystal clear enough for me to be able to really tell.
No doubt.
So Boris hands Kimberly this newspaper, and he sees his own obituary in there, and he's all pissed off that they're basically going to ship him off when he feels like he's been this valuable asset since he defected. But then Boris goes on about how Kimberly has become this embarrassment to the KGB, and then he points out that he's a drunk now, and that the final straw was that he kissed the minister on the mouth while he was drunk at a party, and Kimberly tries to sort of play it off like, we were all drunk, we were all having fun, and then but Boris is like, yeah, but then you went and peed on the table and passed out, dude. So he's this disgraced defect spy who's come from Britain.
He wasn't even a spy. He was like way up there.
Yeah, he was like basically M almost.
He was one level below where M would have been.
Right. So he's this master spy. Yeah. This master spy who then defects to Russia and becomes a drunk. So
apparently. But a very productive drunk, according to his assessment.
For a period of time. So then quickly after this, these Russian doctors barge in and begin examining Kimberly's face, and they're pinning him down, and you cut to loud music, and this medic truck is driving down the road along with Boris's car, and they're heading off to the hospital, and then they run the credits.
Yeah, cue the synthy music crap.
The synthy crappy with the most low budget credits you've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, they're horrible.
I mean, the thing is it's 1983 that this movie was put out, and the credits look like they were made in like 1976.
Yeah, for television.
For television. So as the credits were rolling, we see the KGB and Russian medics load Kimberly onto a gurney, and they rush him into the hospital for some serious face-off action.
No doubt.
Face off. So we see the surgeons begin cutting away at his face and doing things, and then miraculously, they take the bandages off, and the old codger is now a bruised but much younger-looking Michael Caine.
So here's a quick thought that just came into my head. If they remake this movie, what if you start off with Philby or with Kimberly being John Travolta, and then after the surgery, he's Nicolas Cage.
That'd be excellent.
Except the whole movie, Travolta has to overdub.
Oh God,
Nicolas Cage, while Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage. I would pay at least $12 to see that,
and no more.
Not a cent more.
So then we get what is
motherfucking montage.
Then we get what is arguably the most ridiculous training montage I've ever witnessed in my entire. It is so chintzy. It's laughable. It's so laughable.
It's not even. It's kind of pathetic.
It really is, because it shows Michael Caine on a exercise bike, and it looks like an exercise bike they picked up at Sears for like $25. Then he's like doing karate kicks, which with the worst form in the world. He starts doing like leg lifts off this thing. Like, it is so bad.
With his gut sticking out.
With his gut sticking out in this bad jumpsuit.
And they're showing him how to do karate chop, judo chop, 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 stun with the fingers.
They fade as if progression has happened,
right?
And they're supposed to. We're now supposed to be seeing the after of all this hard work, quote unquote hard work, and it's no better.
It is absolutely not any better.
He's just cleaned up. He has less scarring on his face, but it's pretty much the same, like bad judo chops and bad karate kicks.
I mean, nobody had to give a training montage to show how he was able to execute some of the things later in the movie that he executed.
I feel
it could have been a line of dialogue where he comes in and his face is all busted up, and then he comes in for the assignment afterwards and he's not. And the general guy can be, so how did your training go? It seems that you got top marks on everything.
Yeah.
And Michael Caine, of course I did. I'm Michael Caine. And it would have been fine.
Right.
But it's like they had to say, well, it's Michael Caine. Nobody's going to buy that he can do action hero stuff.
Well, and here's the thing. First of all, this is 1983. 1983 loved themselves some fucking training montages.
God, yes.
Love training montages in 1983. So it was very hip to have a training montage in your movie. Also, so Michael Caine is supposed to be, 10 years younger than the original
well, he said
Kimberly?
40. He said 42, so almost over 20 years younger than what he started, because they said that Kimberly was like 62 when he died. So he's like 20 years younger, or it's supposed to look
20 years
although
younger.
He's actually 51, I think, when he made this movie. But.
Okay. So he's supposed to be pulling off somebody who's younger. So I think that plays into why they chose to do a training montage as well.
Also, just from an editorial standpoint, because, I love to be a backseat editor. I feel like the training montage would have been better served with the credits over it. Like, they should have taken the entire open titles, free title sequence right into that. Because it could have been like, I want to be the very best, starring Michael Caine. I'm going to kick everybody's ass, and Sir Laurence Olivier.
Right?
I don't know why they made that choice.
Right. They could have, if they would have just kept the pre-title sequence going all the way up until the training montage and then started the titles there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because montages, you could tell this was going to be a bad movie because their montage is literally at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, you montage after you've pulled the crowd in.
Right.
So you can, it's basically exposition to get you through to the action sequence. Right. So I'm like, well, is there going to be action now?
You've built no good faith with the viewer yet.
At all. So at least you could have hidden it with the credits, because credits do have montages.
Right, exactly. I mean,
I don't know.
All I can think of right now is Die Another Day's torture montage. But there's a montage. I mean, they're littered. Title sequences are littered with montages.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This was the first indicator that whoever was making this movie was not invested in it at all.
Right. So I will say the one thing that made me really laugh, well, aside from how bad it was just in general, there's this moment where Boris walks in while he's on the bike. Oh, Michael Caine's on the bike. He's like, faster, faster. And then as he walks away, you see Caine mouth the words, fuck off. It's like the one legitimately funny moment. And I bet that was an ad lib as well.
Probably.
So then Kimberly gets done with his latest workout and he meets with the surgeon and Boris in this room that they have a TV in the room and his own funeral is playing on the TV as he walks in. And that's when we sort of find out that Kimberly was a notorious secret agent who was the director general of Her Majesty's Secret Service who defected to Moscow and eventually became the only foreigner to hold the rank of lieutenant general in the KGB, which should have been probably placed earlier once again. I don't know.
I don't even know that you needed to have... It was like this whole thing about, here's how the rest of the world sees you, so that we're all perfectly aware that you're an asshole who betrayed your country.
Right.
But I felt like that was pretty well established before he got the Michael Caine face.
None of this movie makes sense.
No. Well, I feel like there's this undercurrent where they're trying to make him into a sympathetic character.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the same reason why Skaith loves him.
Right.
Skaith thinks that Kimberly is the bee's knees, man, which doesn't make any sense either.
It doesn't, because I don't know a lot of traitors. I haven't met a lot of traitors in my life.
Right.
Except, romantically speaking. But I think they're universally reviled.
Yeah.
There may be some adversarial admiration.
Sure.
Right. But when you do your country dirty, nobody wants anything to do with you.
Right.
So the whole thing also felt very disingenuous.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the only way that they could have painted him truly in a better light was to make it seem like he's this triple agent.
Right.
Instead of a double agent.
Which would have taken this movie in a completely different direction and made it 10 times better just because it had an actual direction.
Right, exactly. But I digress. So then Boris brings Kimberly in to meet with General Zorin, who gives him his new identity, Sergei Kuzminsky. I mean, at this point, Zorin basically says that Kimberly is to go to the Russian embassy in London, and in return for a passport and 1 million francs, he must provide, Jason, can you imagine it? A list.
Fucking list.
Can you imagine that? A list. Zorin and the KGB basically believe that Kimberly has always had hidden in the UK a dossier containing a list of all the active KGB agents on the payroll in the UK going back to the 30s. Zorin believes that Kimberly has held on to this secret as an insurance plan in case his time in the Soviet Union goes awry, which would be right now.
Exactly.
They send Kimberly out of the room, and then Zorin tells Boris that they have to make their way into England through a foreign city. So they're going to fly to Paris or something and then make their way in. I don't even know why that part...
Do not take an Aeroflot, because it's only fun to say Aeroflot once.
That whole little bit of it, there was no payoff for any of that information whatsoever. I'm like, why is this even in the movie still?
Because it was probably
in the book. So now we're on the plane. And Kimberly's like, well, it's wonderful. Sorry, I'll need you to do Michael Caine here. I can't do a Michael Caine.
It's wonderful to be 42 again, don't you think?
Think I'll live to be 43?
I think I'll live to be 43.
Boris then replies, pointing to two goons being super goony right there on the plane. They're
playing chess.
And they're just all, twisty mustache, twisty mustache.
All they needed was black hats and black trench coats.
Right. See those guys over there? If Comrade Kuzminsky fails to deliver the dossier, our two friends there, they make sure he doesn't, or whatever.
Yeah, it's basically make sure you do your shit together. These guys are going to kill you.
Yeah, going to kill you.
So sorry.
All I can think when I saw that is just, if I'm on a flight and I see those two guys beside me, I'm calling the marshal over.
Sure.
Have you seen these two guys? It's pretty obvious. They're bad.
Sure. Well, and they're Russian bad because they're two gigantic guys playing chess on a mini chessboard.
I'm surprised they weren't sipping from a full bottle of vodka while they were at it.
Just bring the whole bottle. We are playing chess, can't you see?
Anyway, so they get off the plane, and Kuzminski has slipped a note into his passport saying that he's KGB and he wants to defect. So the guy running the security hits this panic button with his foot, and then all these guys jump out of nowhere, and Kimberly jumps it's so funny. The security in the 80s versus security now, it's just like two completely different things.
Oh, yeah.
They don't even exist in the same universe. All Kimberly has to do is literally jump this like little, not even a fence, just...
No, it's just one of those little dividers that make lines where you don't have a place to make lines.
Right.
And I think it's funny that in 1983, we had a bunch of people sitting in security just waiting for defectors.
Waiting for Russian defectors.
Like, that had to be a thing.
Because it's 1983.
And the dude's in there like Janine from Ghostbusters. We got one! And hits a button. All the agents come running over to come get him. That's how I look at it anyway.
So now we cut to another plane landing, and it's Jamie Fraser, and the flight attendant ushers him off the plane. God, this flight attendant wants to fuck this guy so bad.
So bad.
Jesus Christ.
Like, I'm surprised she didn't just take him into the steward. Well, maybe she did take him. This is the end of the flight. I don't know.
She's like, I'll get you off of here quicker.
Yeah, wink, wink, I'll get you off here much quicker. Wink, wink.
So she ushers him off the plane ahead of everyone to meet this car coming to take him away. We then see some London-y things to tell you we're in London because they didn't have the budget for some fancy lower thirds that took up the whole screen.
Right. Well, nor was that a thing back in the day.
Indeed. Fraser then winds up at a British intelligence office where he meets with Admiral Skaith.
Admiral Skaith.
So we see Skaith, and he gets off the phone with the Home Secretary, and he tells Fraser about the defector at the airport. Oh, you missed all the action. I'm grouchy. Then they discuss the report that Fraser had written about our Washington diplomatic bag.
Diplomatic
bag.
Who makes those diplomatic bags, by the way?
General Pushkin.
General Pushkin's diplomatic bags. Very dangerous. Use them first.
So basically, he's referring to a mission that went awry. It has to do with a couple of agents, Paul Garagiola and a young American who died. Garagiola killed himself after feeling shame after having a homosexual relationship with the American in order to obtain information. And this is the one progressive moment in the film where Skaith sort of points out that if culture wasn't what it was then, that he'd still be alive. Because he still managed to get the information, and he still managed to carry out his orders. And
right. Well, and as we see, I mean, MI5 obviously got much better with it because, James Bond's all like, what makes you think it's my first time?
Right.
Oh,
Mr. Bond. So the conversation then quickly changes to the news of Kimberly's death, and we get this funny exchange about age. And he's like, where Olivier is like, oh, you think at 62 we're done for, eh? Fortunately for most of us, your humble opinion means less than a fart in the wind.
No, fart in a blizzard.
Fart in a blizzard?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I thought was an even better description than fart in a wind.
Well, and I gotta think that's another.
That had to be an ad lib.
That had to be another ad lib from Olivier. Fraser then tries to apologize, and Skaith sort of backpedals and acknowledges that Fraser lost a good man, yada, yada, yada. They just sort of calm down, and then the conversation turns back to Kimberly, and we find out how Skaith admired him, basically, and thought he was a brilliant agent who treated spycraft like a game of chess. And he's a traitor. It's just,
right.
It doesn't track.
You know who was playing chess? The two KGB officers on the airplane, because he's a KGB guy.
Right. So Skaith suspects that the Russians killed him rather than natural causes. The two talk about the tragic death of Kimberly's wife, who threw herself out a window. Skaith then reveals that he thought that she was beautiful and that her death, quote, didn't do much good for England's image.
Sure.
So just sort of the foreshadowing, basically, that Skaith had kind of a hard-on for Kimberly's wife.
And may have been basically responsible for her death.
Yeah. So then we find out that Fraser knew Philip and Annabelle's daughter since she was a child. So he's basically almost a groomer. I hate to use that buzzword, but he's not far from it, man. He knew this girl is a child, and now he's stoiking her.
Yep. Yep.
So, and of course, he justifies it by saying, oh, I provided stability, and, she had a bad relationship, and I was there for her. And Scaife just looks at him, clutching his drink, just kind of looking up. You took advantage.
Would you like me to give you another shovel to keep digging that hole for yourself, Fraser?
You creepy creep.
I mean, it is an undercurrent of creepiness, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's everywhere.
Right. And then even as Fraser is leaving, Scaife says, now that Kimberly's dead, you can go on screwing his daughter with a clear conscience.
Right. Zing!
Gotcha. And speak of the devil, we now cut to Fraser rolling up to Penelope's flat. She's very enamored with him as he rolls up. She's mentioned that the newspapers have been hounding her with phone calls because they somehow found out that she was Philip Kimberly's daughter, even though she's been using the last name Black for the past 10 years. He suggests that she should move in, but when she mentions that they've never made love there, he's like, who said anything about love? Which is just adding to what a scumbag this fucking guy is.
Well, they're trying to play it off as playful, right?
Yeah.
But you can't escape the undercurrent of creep in this movie.
She ends up with him at the end, too.
Right.
That's what's even more fucked up about
this. The
this.
most disappointing part of that character arc was she just turned into a woman. A stereotypical early 80s woman character, right?
Yeah.
Poorly written. I mean, and I shouldn't say that. Her character, like you said, even though there were inconsistencies, she's a pretty strong character, right?
Right. Or at least she's supposed to be initially.
Yeah, she starts off intelligent, competent, maybe a tad smitten with this guy.
Right.
But
has some daddy issues.
If he's been grooming, yeah, exactly. And if he's been grooming her with the daddy issues, maybe she would be.
Right.
But she comes off as very competent at the beginning. It's just like, oh, well, her competence is irrelevant now. So we'll just go ahead and write her as female character number 2.
Yeah.
And, I had the thing the whole time.
Right.
But I still love you because I thought you got killed. Blah. So again,
yeah.
This character had some, in the hands of a
more capable
better writer, may have had more legs.
Maybe a director that didn't feel beholden to his ex-wife.
Yeah, or maybe beholden to his financier.
Or that too, his financier.
So, I don't know. We can extrapolate on that for hours.
But let's not.
This is already going to take long enough.
Indeed. So she then says that she's headed to her little cottage, and we get this exchange about whether to notify the cleaners about the phone calls, and Fraser's like, the cleaner is capable of seeing anybody off.
It's a great line, actually. It's kind of a throwaway.
Yeah.
Because she's like, well, should I tell them about all the people that are bothering me? Nah, she's pretty good at telling people to go fuck themselves. So it's such a British way.
Yes.
That's how Roger Moore would have said it.
Yeah. Seeing anybody off. And then we get what, like I said before, this honestly might be my favorite scene in the movie. Just because Olivier kind of gets to wing it a little bit and just really ratchets up the cranky old man vibes, taking Milroy to task for his carelessness and lack of priority. Essentially, we cut to what I'm guessing is Milroy's office at MI6, and Milroy is in there describing to a detective from CID about a fine Vicuna coat that he lost that had 2 tickets to a cup final in the pocket. Scaife comes in just livid that Milroy has made such a fuss over Kuzminski stealing his coat and instead not taking measures to actually recapture Kuzminski,
right?
AKA Kimberly. And he's like, Scaife is like,
I also heard news of the loss of your fine Vicuna coat from the sergeant at the door. News of your grievous loss, Milroy, has spread down these corridors of power. People grieve with you. Shall we fly the flags at half-mast, or shall we forget your fine Vicuna coat and the cup final tickets? Meanwhile, I suppose the news of your other loss, that of the defector Kuzminski, has not been spread so wide nor so far as that of your fine Vicuna coat.
Just taking him down. And then from here, we find out that Kuzminski had asked to speak with Skaith specifically and that he knew London, which sort of starts cluing you in, or at least clues Skaith in to who this guy might be.
Right.
So Milroy apparently was careless and walked out to wash his hands, I guess. And then meanwhile, Kuzminski took off with his coat and tickets, which means he now has money to get around. And then Skaith asks about fingerprinting the room, which of course Milroy hasn't done either.
Right.
So then he tells them to fingerprint the whole room to see if they know this guy. Because clearly he knows London.
Right.
He knows who Skaith is.
I just think it's funny that they had to bring in that stereotypical British autocratic incompetent bureaucrat guy, right?
Right.
You know,
yeah.
It's like, and I mean, I should say British. We have them in American movies as well. It's sort of like
in spades.
It's a stereotype character.
Yeah.
But it's almost like Olivier was like, I hate these people. I hate this character, and I'm going to do my own thing with it. So here I go. And he just needed a scapegoat or a target to unleash all his anger and grievances for this movie.
Right. And he just dialed it right into this character.
This is like his first day back after walking out. Right.
He was like, all right, fine.
I have to get back into character, but I still don't like this movie.
So as Skaith is leaving, he takes one last opportunity to lay into Milroy by saying that if he runs into Kuzminski, how much should he offer for Milroy's fine Vicuna coat and cup tickets? So they're walking to the elevator, and out comes Sir James Chorley, and Chorley's like slumming Admiral.
Yes.
Like everybody's chopping down Milroy. Everybody's chopping down Milroy. I feel like there was a character in No Way Out that was the same guy that's being chopped down by everybody who he runs into. So the two leave Milroy to go to some kind of loungy type place where Chorley invites Skaith to dinner, but he can't join. Chorley goes on and on about what he's going to have there.
Can I just say, this is the first incredibly British scene in this movie.
It's so British.
And the first scene where I completely lost the thread of what was happening.
Yeah, well, because he's just going off about, I'm going to have this and that, and Skaith then says, I'm going to have lamb and...
Well, he's talking about the wine he's going to have and the type of fish he's going...
Right.
I understood all of the words. The words resonated in my brain with actual things. However, the structure of how they were going in between the two actors,
right?
I was just like, huh?
So Chorley then asked the Admiral if there's any truth to there being a list that Kimberly had hid somewhere with all the KGB agents in England, which sort of is this foreshadowing that they're trying to inject, that Chorley knows something, that Chorley's involved in all this stuff. And Skaith's drink arrives and Chorley jabs at him saying, a silent toast to Kay, Admiral. Like,
well, the first time he said that, I thought he said Caine, like it was a blooper.
Oh.
A silent toast to Caine, Admiral. I'm like, oh, no. He's KML. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. And can I just say, every time that Laurence Olivier has a drink in his hand, he holds it with two hands. Yes. And he holds it like it's a warm cup of
coffee.
Yeah, like he's trying to stay warm or something, but it's a drink. It's just...
Well, I feel like that was an affectation that he was doing on purpose.
It probably was.
Holding this whiskey makes him feel warm and comfortable.
Right.
Right. And so he coddles it like this because it's the booze that's getting him through this job.
Right. I mean, that plays, I suppose.
Probably real whiskey.
Yeah. Well, he's at that age. So Skaith tells Chorley to bugger off and then mentions that a better man is putrefying in his box. And then right before leaving, though, Chorley replies by mentioning that if Kimberly hadn't gone off, Skaith would have become the head of Her Majesty's Secret Intelligence Services.
That's correct.
So he's somehow trying to, I don't know.
What is there a point to that? I'm sure. Does it matter? Probably not.
Probably not. So we then cut to this nighttime scene outside, and Skaith appears to be making his way home. But he's out by the river reminiscing, and you see the river or whatever. And fun fact, this night scene was actually filmed in Strand on the Green in Chiswick, West London, outside the house of Donald Pleasance. So Terrence Young was calling in all the favors.
Hey, Don.
Don? You go by Don, right?
Yeah. Well, I can call you Don. I knew you when you had hair. Listen, Don, I got a scene I need to shoot. Would you mind?
I need a location. It needs to be by the water because everybody reminisces by the water.
We're going to cut you a check as soon as the financing comes through.
If it ever comes through. So, and then we get this little
Scooby-Doo ending.
And we get this memory of Skaith, a younger Skaith, at a party speaking to Annabelle Kimberly's wife, and he tells her that Philip has already gone to Moscow and that he's in love with her.
Yeah.
So then it finally dishes that Skaith really was in love with her. And he basically says that if she doesn't marry him, that she'll be constantly in the line of fire from agents and that only he can protect her. And she's not real keen on all this. And so he gets mad. He gets all frustrated. He says that he'll make sure that she'll never see Philip again.
Because he's a creepy dick like every other dude in this movie.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we're out of the Scooby-Doo.
And again, I don't think they were trying to, well, maybe they were. I get the feeling that the reason she killed herself was based off of what he told her.
Yeah, because he was mad and he probably did everything.
He was trying to hurt her feelings.
Yeah, and in the process, she felt so bad.
Right.
Terrible. All the men in this movie are terrible.
They really are, except for that giraffe.
Well, that giraffe was a nice fella.
I mean, I'm assuming I couldn't
And he really shouldn't have been in. I really feel bad that they nearly ran him down.
I mean, I feel like the giraffe.
Ambulance. Even the ambulance driver was a dick.
Jeez Louise.
Anyway, so Skaith is out there by the water and he's trying to light a cigarette and he drops his matches. And then, of course, a hand reaches out offering a lighter and it's Kimberly / Kuzminski.
He's in the Kuzminski mode here.
He's in Kuzminski mode right now.
You can tell because he sounds like he's Pakistani.
That's right. Because that's when we get our first... Is it our first taste of his bad accent? I think it is.
It's the first taste of his bad... No, he dishes up a little at the airport.
At the airport, too?
At the airport, yeah.
Well, this is when we really get the full scale of how bad his Russian accent...
The magnitude.
The magnitude of how bad Michael Caine's Russian accent is. So he explains to Skaith that he was Kimberly's friend and that he's here to sell him the documents Kimberly removed from the British paymaster before he escaped to Russia. Kuzminski is willing to, or Kuzminski, quote unquote, is willing to make the exchange in Switzerland, but will need a British passport and safe journey, and the price would be £1 million sterling.
Now, this comes after him complaining that he was going to get 1 million Swiss francs.
Yeah, well, he's talking about the exchange rate.
It's like, what?
Because he says it in the meeting.
Dollars would have been better.
Yeah. That was actually a nice little moment earlier on.
Absolutely.
When he's talking to Zoran. So when Skaith asks why Kuzminski didn't stay at the home office, Kuzminski says he was worried about being killed by someone there at the office that might be on the list he's selling. So Skaith agrees to provide 2 secure lines for the next 72 hours for Kuzminski to call and to provide evidence that the list even exists.
It's important to note here, kids, that Skaith offers 1 phone line, but Kaminsky negotiates 2.
Yes.
Keep that in mind for later on in the film.
For once, something pays off in this movie.
Yeah.
So the two continue to walk, and Kuzminski is talking about how much Kimberly told him about Skaith, including that there's always a police officer at his doorstep. And right as he lands that line, he turns and runs. And that's when everything gets all crazy. And, old man Skaith breaks out this dog whistle that he just happens...
It's a police whistle.
Or a police whistle that he just happens to have on a chain around his neck that he blows. And immediately the cop comes running and chasing after Kuzminski.
I just want to point out to everyone, since this is an audio podcast, that every time Ben has said Kuzminski, he's throwing air quotes out there. So when he says something, that means he's inferring air quotes.
That's right. So whenever I get closer to the microphone and say it like this, it usually means I'm doing it in air quotes.
In case you want to add a visual piece
That's right.
to your enjoyment of this podcast.
Indeed. So Skaith blows the whistle. The cop runs after him. Kuzminski trips the first cop, which knocks him out. And then he tries to hide the body. But then the second cop finds him when the radio goes off of the guy that's knocked out.
But you forgot to note how he had to throw like 10 rocks to get the Bobby's hat to fall into the river.
That's so dumb. It's so dumb. The attention to detail right there was like,
well, it's like we're trying to build suspense.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll just get a bigger rock. No, I'm going to need to get an even bigger rock. No, hold on. This one right here will be perfect for what I need. There we go. Oh, damn it, he's here.
So the knocked out cop's radio alerts the second cop.
After all that work,
trying to get the stupid helmet into the river. And just as this cop is like leaning over to look at the other cop's body, Kuzminski jumps out and judo chop! The first of two really bad judo chops.
Well, he gives him the judo chop, then when he's on the ground, he hits him with the double finger neck pinch.
Oh, does he?
Knocks him out with the double finger neck pinch.
Kapow! So then Kuzminski starts to make his escape, but this whole time there's been this green van in the alleyway, and suddenly we start paying more attention to it, and the door slowly opens, and out of the dark comes a gun and manages to shoot Kimberly in the side, and then he just sort of runs away or something.
With a little bit of blood left
with
on
a little
the wall
bit of
that you know
blood.
he's been injured.
You're right. And that takes us into Act 2.
Okay, taking a little bit of a double-handed drink of whiskey, and here we go.
We really needed whiskey for this one.
No doubt. We could have been as liquored up as everybody was acting in this film. All right, so...
Leaving that in.
Absolutely. So now we're back somewhere inside the Secret Service's offices, and Charlie's come back from his dinner. And
of all that fine food he described.
And he seemed to be fine. Like, it wasn't very heavy. It must have been a much lighter meal than it sounded. Scaife tells him about his run-in with Kuzminski. And that the file is real. I kind of wish at this point Charlie had been like, of course it's real. It's a spy movie, right? He asked Charlie to have the police handle this incident low profile so as not to tip off the Russians that Kaminsky's loose, or to give the Russians the idea to try and make a deal with Scaife.
Yeah.
Apparently, Charlie is the head of Special Branch. And Scaife wants this unit to catch Kuzminski before the police do. Charlie asks to use Garagiola, but Scaife lets him know that he hung himself.
Yeah.
And it feels like if he knew who Garagiola was, which he did
quite intimately.
Yeah, that he would have already known this. So
yeah, it's
really, what was the point of that?
It doesn't. It makes no sense. Like, I think the only reason to do it is is for Charles Gray to emote disappointment and sadness in that moment, which he barely does.
Right.
Like, it's
trying
there.
to demonstrate a connection.
Yeah, they're trying to demonstrate that they had some sort of connection together. I don't know how well it really worked.
It didn't. The only payback we get in here are 2 telephones and a judo chop.
Yeah.
That could actually be like the subtitle for this thing.
Right.
2 telephones and a judo chop.
I got
Where
you.
it's at.
Where it's at.
Anyway, Charlie then asks for Fraser instead, and Scaife makes it so. Or as Patrick Stewart would say, make it so.
Make it so.
We then pull up to a fun yellow Aston Mini. Beep, beep. Pull up somewhere, and it's Penelope going to the cottage that she would always go to with her parents that no one apparently knew about.
Allegedly. Which everybody now knows about, apparently.
Well, yes, because it's it's where this is being recorded.
Yes.
As stated previously. As she's unloading her groceries, she notices that there's water, or that the water in the sink is dripping from the faucet, which I kind of liked this whole little scene, because then she reaches over to turn the water off and there's blood on it.
Yeah. I mean, it made sense. It was actually fairly decent. I mean, let's be real here. This is Susan George. She's in her element right here. This is like B-movie, horror movie shit.
Absolutely.
So she knows exactly the game plan. She's run this route before.
Right.
So,
well, and this is, bear in mind, we're still in the plucky, competent Penelope phase right here.
Before she becomes a 1980s stereotypical woman.
Yes, exactly. Stereotypical film woman.
Film woman. Yes, not a real woman.
Not a real woman.
Stereotypical film woman.
Correct. She would have had a lot more hairspray if she was a stereotypical 80s woman.
Correct. That is correct.
That is not a stereotype. That is not a dig. That is just the way it was.
That's just the way we all were.
It's just the way it was. So, as I said, she turns it off. She gets blood on her hands. We get some really silly tension music as Penny now begins to look around and goes to grab the shotgun, which is sitting on a chair, leaning against the wall.
Right.
Like you do.
Like you do. You just have it sitting there.
Well, where else are you going to keep it? You couldn't possibly keep it on a rack on the wall.
Right. Or in a
gun
closet
locker.
or in a gun locker. Well, it's the 80s. It was just
the 80s.
It was willy-nilly.
And, you know,
Even in Britain, it was willy-nilly, apparently.
Guns are a different culture out in Britain, so I get it. But boy, I'm just like, I wish I could just leave a double-barrel shotgun wherever I feel like leaving.
I mean, honestly, I figured in Britain it would have been locked behind 2 doors.
Absolutely. But it's a
they
cottage.
actually treat firearms with respect over there.
They do. I guess you could get off with it maybe being kind of like a hunting thing because it's a cottage.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, sure.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Way too much talking about shotguns. I'm moving on.
Okay.
But as she's about to grab the gun, Kimberly grabs her and puts his hand over her mouth. Oh, yeah. And then he has to give this lengthy explanation. I know the sound of my voice sounds like it is, but when you turn around, I'm not going to look the way you thought I did. And except I would have turned and go, well, you look just like Michael Caine. But anyway, she turns around, she sees him, realizes that he doesn't look the same. And then he has to convince her that it's actually him, that he's not dead.
And also not Michael Caine.
and also not Michael Caine in a Russian suit. So they both agree that he needs medical attention for the gunshot wound, but they have to leave as the KGB knows about this cottage from the letters Penelope wrote to him.
Which is our first indicator that she's not as smart as... Or at least, I'm starting to wonder if maybe they were trying to paint her as being really book smart, but not street smart.
I don't get that impression from it. I think this was more to establish the fact that she wrote him lots of letters, and we get the payoff later where he never answered any back.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's
so,
fair.
I mean, this is fine, her telling that. She's trying to write to her absent father.
Yeah.
Because she's got daddy issues. She's stoinking a guy who's 15 years older than she is. Daddy issues abound. She's probably a stripper in college. I mean,
Jesus.
Sorry, I'm trying to be this progressive guy, and I just knocked myself back like 50 years.
It's fine.
It's fine. Moving on.
I'm constantly standing over half the actresses that we review anyway. This is fine.
It's fine. All right. So Kimberly also mentions that she can't go back to her apartment for the same reason or anywhere in London for at least a week because, we all know the KGB after a week.
They just give up.
They're done. We cannot find them in the week. Everyone needs to go back to where we were at and we'll just have some vodka and be fine.
It's like also about that cleaning lady. You might want to let her know something.
We went in the cleaning lady was here and she was terrifying.
She told us to fuck off.
She brandished her broom in such a way as to think she could seriously hurt us with this broom. Oh, gosh. But anyway, she can't go back for at least a week.
Right.
Because they'll be looking for her. Not that cleaning lady, but sure. He then suggests that maybe they should go to some lake for the time being that they went to when she was little.
The one where we could see
everyone. The lake where we could see everyone, but no one could see us.
Never.
This sort of helps solidify to Penny that this is indeed her father. After using the cute little cutesy name.
It's just like the little lights up in her. Thankfully, at this point, Susan George has something to act towards.
Yes, exactly.
Where it actually looks like she does act and she does recognize, oh, this is my dad.
Well, that's the thing, because as soon as he lets her go in this scene, she's like,
Oh, that's right. She grabs the gun.
Again, grabs a shotgun, right? So she's playing competent, plucky. I'm a spy master's daughter. I know where the bear shits in the woods.
Right.
And then granted, everything he told her could have been gotten from Kimberly himself through torture.
Right.
But at least an effort was made.
Yes, at least an effort was made.
And so now, moving on to Exposition Lake, we quickly cut to the lake where people can't see you.
That's right.
Where Penelope's already helped bandage Kimberly up, got him a fresh shirt, apparently a fresh sport coat as well.
Yeah, well,
And he's explaining that if he'd just gone along with Russia's plan, they would have killed him the moment he turned over the dossier. And this is why he fled, trying to make a deal on his own terms. He then tells her that she needs to stay out of sight for a while, or else the KGB will ship her off to Moscow until they get what they want out of him. And I'm like, would they though?
Probably not.
It feels like something that isn't going to really happen.
Probably not.
I feel like they're ruthless and all.
I don't think they would ship her to Moscow. I just think they would hold her.
there's got to be plenty of places in England they could just keep
Right.
it,
If they've got agents planted in England, they probably have a safe house somewhere.
It seems more like a logistical nightmare to kidnap a sovereign British citizen
right?
and take them to Moscow just to get a defected British citizen to play ball.
Right.
But there's more to this whole kidnapping thing later.
Yeah.
We get the somewhat awkward exchange where Penelope says, "You fear for my life," and Kimberly says something about the paternal instinct dying hard, and I'm just like,
yeah, I just felt like, are these too close or not? Like,
but they don't feel like they are.
It's so weird because they play it both sides. They play it, and maybe it's one of those things where she was close to him
when she was a child,
and then now there's this disparity, and that's, you get the whole thing about why didn't you ever write me back,
right?
Yada yada
well,
yada.
She doesn't call him Dad at all. She calls him Philip the whole time.
That's true.
So she's got this whole little demarcation that he's a guy that's her father, but not her father who's a guy.
Right.
So, and again, competent writer probably could have made this into something more than it was.
Right. And the line from Caine, too, just the whole paternal instinct dying hard, he does not sell it. And I feel like that was a moment that should have been elaborated on.
Yeah.
To try and explain this a little bit.
There should have been a little bit more of a father-daughter reunion-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
Apologies made.
Yeah, just something.
Trying to establish an emotional link that just seemed to be 100% carried by the daughter and not by the father.
Yeah, because you could have used it later on where they finally begin to trust each other, and that's when Penelope decides to play ball with Scathe.
Right. Ben and Jason rewriting shitty Hollywood scripts since 2021?
2020.
2020.
Yeah,
since 2020.
Since the pandemic, baby.
I don't know. Perhaps our first script rewrite was in 2021, however.
That's true. Fair.
So anyway, Kimberly says he's sticking around for unfinished business. So she suggests a hotel that he can stay in.
Yeah, with the nosiest of innkeepers.
Well, yeah, also kind of a stereotypy thing, right?
Yeah.
But, where else are you going to get some action and adventure later in the film without a nosy one, right?
That's right.
So we get to the hotel exposition after leaving Lake Exposition.
That's right. This whole movie feels like exposition, honestly.
Like one whole line of exposition.
It's just
with a very British payoff at the very end.
Right.
So immediately cut to them walking into the hotel. Penny checks Kimberly in under H. Fraser. Tee-hee. After getting into the room, she explains that H. Fraser is for Hamish Fraser, her boyfriend. She calls him from she tries to call him from the hotel room. To let her know that she's coming back into town to stay with him.
Right.
But Kimberly immediately is like, better to do it from the call box downstairs.
Another very British
yeah.
translation from payphone.
He is super paranoid about the KGB.
Oh,
900 times out of 1,000.
He thinks that there are eyes and ears everywhere.
He literally says it. I mean, he literally says it. And I'm like, at this little inn?
This little shitty inn?
In England?
This family-run inn?
That nobody knows anything about? Did the Russians have everything bugged?
The entire universe is bugged.
The entirety of England and Scotland and anything it has to do... India?
Yeah.
There are old bugs in India, but they're still there.
In the 80s, mind you, they think that Jason Bourne technology was
I realized that there was a lot of paranoia about this stuff in the Cold War.
Right.
And a lot of that was happening, but they take the level of his paranoia to this whole other extreme that just seems ridiculous at a certain point. Breathe a minute, Phil.
Take a breather, Phil.
Just take a breather, Phil. It's going to be fine, man. But anyway, so she calls Fraser from the payphone and asks to stay at his place after complaining that the cottage is dreary or something stupid like that. Not really revealing anything about what's happened because she's, at least at this point in the movie, still pretty smart.
Yeah, she hasn't converted yet.
Right. She comes back to the room. Kimberly says he needs to tell her more, but not there because, as we said before, walls have ears.
Which... I don't think he ever says anything more to her. Ever.
Though there's really no...
There's no payoff for that line.
He
says something... I know he says something like at the very end when he's down on the ground or something. Yeah. But I don't know if that was it.
That was almost the daughter-son or daughter-father reconciliation stuff there. So, no, he's not going to explain anything to her, really, at all. So she says she's going back to London and she has to work the next day as a translator. Throws off something about speaking 5 languages, like, look at me being awesome.
Look at me being
including
smart.
Russian, just in case. Which he's like,
well, and that's when he's like, yes, because you sent me the letters.
Yeah, the letters, right. So,
and that's when she gets all angsty about
well, yeah, because you never wrote me back.
Yeah, exactly.
And he doesn't really have a reasonable answer for that either.
No, they just cut.
Deadbeat dad.
Deadbeat dad. They just cut to the next scene.
So now we're do a hard cut back to Skate's office.
Spies are just deadbeat dads.
It feels like
it kind of feels like that.
Even James Bond really kind of turned into a deadbeat dad.
Dead
and beat dad.
Boom.
Oh, thank you. I'll be here all week. Try the veal. So we do a hard cut back to Skate's office where he is, in a very English way, having breakfast while doing work.
I just thought it was so funny, too, how dead set he was. Don't disturb me while I'm eating my breakfast.
Right.
In the office.
Well, and he literally gets a money penny that walks in and is like, stop being such a curmudgeonly old turd.
Right.
This person's here and he's got important shit to say to you.
Right.
So this functionary comes in with the most delightful Irish accent.
Yes.
It's so contrasty to anything else you're hearing in this movie.
Well, and even his secretary says, well, he has an honest face.
Right.
And he is sort of this delightful gentleman that comes in that knows all this very valuable shit.
And doesn't overplay it. Can I say maybe the most subtle acting in this entire film?
Quite possibly.
But he comes over, he says, I'm from the fingerprint people, the competent ones. Right. He throws out a couple of barbs like, those idiots don't know how to do anything, more or less. But
right.
We know how to do our job in this section.
That's right.
And he says, and I thought it would be very important for you to see because here's the fingerprints we took off the chair, and here's some interesting fingerprints that matched, and it turns out to be Kimberly's fingerprints.
Right.
With a dead-on perfect overlay, which would have been completely impossible.
Right.
But I'll allow it.
Okay.
I'll allow it because you know why? Because there was no computer analysis. We have a 92% match. God, I would have turned the TV off at that point. Thank God they didn't have the budget for that.
That's
nonsense.
right. At least they could just eyeball it with a piece of transparency. And
right.
Go,
exactly.
Oh, yeah, look at that. That's pretty close.
You know what? I can smell what the Rock is cooking. So basically, he tells Skaith that these are the fingerprints of Philip Kimberly. And of course, Skaith is all a Twitter now.
Right.
Cameron being the functionary, comes up and asks, why didn't they just burn his fingerprints off? And Skaith says, well, they never intended to let him go.
Right. They were going to kill him.
Yeah. Of course, that doesn't hold a lot of water for me because it's the KGB. Yeah. If they're going to go through the effort of cutting his face up to make him look like somebody else.
If they're going to go through all this effort to make him look completely different, they would probably
alter his
dot their
fingerprints
I's and cross their T's.
Right? I mean, even James Bond knows you have to have fake fingerprints some days.
He does.
Right? Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't buy it. But Skaithen just starts fanboying over Kimberly, calling him a talented rascal. Can I have my double-handed glass? Thank you, sir.
Yes, I'm going to clutch it for security.
Is there whiskey in this tea? So now we come back to Penelope and Kimberly where she's about to lend him the car while she takes a train back into town. She tells him to get some antibiotics, and then he asks her what women use to dye their hair, because apparently men are stupid in the 80s.
It's interesting, too, that they call the pharmacy the chemist.
I think they still do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's just their word for it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Basically what they are.
Yeah.
Or they were back in the day anyway.
Yeah.
So it just sort of stuck.
I just thought it was funny how when it literally is just a sign that says chemist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not the name of the store or anything. It's just chemist.
I mean, I'm not British. I have watched a lot of movies that were in Britain.
I mean, I've been to London, and I've never seen anywhere where it literally just says chemist outside a pharmacy.
Tens of listeners. I know a couple of you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Least. So fire in, let us know.
One of our tens of listeners from England.
Do you call chemists, or do you call them pharmacists? Personally, I like chemists better, and it's also easier to spell.
Well, it sounds more whimsical.
It sure does. It's like they're going to whip up some magical cure for you.
That's right.
Rather than it's pharmaceuticals.
Right.
I'd rather have chemicals. Chemicals sound so much better than pharmaceuticals. Anyway, so we cut to a chemist shop, and Kimberly's got all the stuff he needs. Then we get this kind of funny little moment before he can drive away. The police car rolls up, and I'm like, that's a police car?
It's a tiny...
Smoke is pouring out of the back of it?
It's a dumpster fire
with
of a
two
car.
police officers in it, no less. And they pull over in front of his car, and he starts to get a little nervous, looks over, realizes his blood is sitting on the passenger side of the car, and just pulls up a little scarf to cover it up, which causes no suspicion of the police officer who's walking over.
Right. He's just, oh, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine.
Pay no mind to the stain over here. This happened while I was playing paintball, which is something that hasn't been invented for 2 more years.
Even though he's actively scrambling to put this thing over.
Right. No suspicion whatsoever. I mean, it sort of makes the policeman look very professional. I'm just saying. But anyway, the police officer comes up to him and is going to issue him a ticket for parking illegally because he's parked in the zigzag zone.
Right, the zigzag zone.
Not in the straight line zone, but the zigzag zone.
Everybody knows you don't park in the zigzag zone.
Even in America, we do know the zigzag zone is not the zone to park in.
It's a bad zone, man.
But because Kimberly is a smart spy guy, he's going to know that this cop doesn't know anything about Americans except cowboy hats and
Southern accents.
And so, to throw the police officer off,
he goes into the worst American accent.
The worst. So bad, I cannot replicate it because I'm somewhat competent at this sort of thing.
It's so bad.
And he goes into this whole story about how he is from Britain, but he's lived in America for 30 years, and he's an oil guy, and this, that, and the other.
So he hasn't been back to motherland in a long time, and yada,
the cop's
yada, yada.
just like, yeah, all right, whatever. French fries, McDonald's, peace out.
I like, too, how he's like, well, how you say in your country, have a nice day.
Have a nice... Yeah, you don't say have a nice day?
Because we don't do nice over here.
No. We just tell you to have a day. Have a day. I trust you'll have a day today, sir. Some people should not write Americans. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well,
some people shouldn't write people for Britain either. I'm going to be honest.
Some people shouldn't write.
And the person that wrote the script, I think, is that person.
Right.
We then cut back to Kimberly's room at the hotel where he shaves off his jaunty mustache, thank God, and dyes his hair lighter so he looks like Michael Caine.
Right.
So now...
Excuse me, haven't I seen you in something? Get Carter?
Alfie, is that you? Didn't you get that Italian job? Wait a minute.
You got any of that gold left?
Exactly. Hey, whatever happened to that file you went out to go get? What was that file? The Ipswich, Ingersoll, Ipcris. Whatever happened to that file? You left and you never came back, Alfie. What happened? All right. So we now quickly cut back again. A lot of quick cuts going on.
It's cut like a Bond movie, man.
It really is.
No transitional moments, no wide establishing shots, right to the point.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Which, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, while I couldn't
stand any more than 90 minutes of this movie.
Well, I freely admit that this movie needed more. I'm glad it didn't because I would have had to continue watching it. So Kimberly's now getting out of the car outside of a church. He goes inside, strikes up a conversation with the vicar, who is
Mr. Anthony Dawson.
Mr. Anthony Dawson.
A.K.A. Professor Dent.
But not Harvey Dent.
Not Harvey Dent, no.
I prefer Harvey Dent over Professor Dent.
And also the unseen Blofeld.
The unknowable Blofeld. Hilarious. It was keen to get off to play a round of golf. Here's something that's interesting, though. So they have this conversation about the airbase that's somewhere in the immediate vicinity.
Yeah.
And
because they start talking military.
Right. But Kimberly's like, yeah, I was stationed here during the war. And I'm like, you're 42. Mm-hmm. So you would not have been fighting in World War II.
So he's giving away.
Right. But the vicar, nothing. Says, oh, yeah, I was stationed out here too. Blah, 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 blah. You must have been like 11 when you were flying, huh? Right?
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. But that one just seemed kind of one of the few, well, I shouldn't say the few. We have a lot of little dips into really continuity. But that's definitely one of the more glaring ones for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, after the vicar leaves to go play his round of golf, Kimberly nabs the key from where the vicar just hit it, goes back into the church, and then takes the microfilm from inside the bottom of the angel statue. And now, I did joke earlier saying that they pulled it out of the angel's ass. It's actually the pedestal.
Right.
But ass is funnier than pedestal. I think we can all
funnier.
agree.
Yes.
I think we can all agree. He then tears off a smidgen of it, puts it in his pocket, and then puts the rest of the microfilm back inside the statue's base.
So, did he pull the worthy worthy stuff or the unworthy stuff?
He pulled a snippet.
So was the
because that's what he sent to Scaife.
That's
to prove
right.
that he had it.
Right. Which didn't have anything on it. It was just proof that he had.
It had it had enough to show what it was.
Right. But not anything worthwhile to him.
Right. And so they don't actually show a scene where he pulls all the good bits out.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder if A, he already had the good bits somewhere else.
Well, and
B,
that's what's sort of explained at the end is that it sounds like the good bits were never in that statue.
Exactly.
It sounds like the good bits were in Geneva.
Yeah.
Which almost makes you scratch your head and go, well, why did he have to go to the fucking church at all then?
And why was he so incensed about going to Switzerland in the first place if that's where the shit was? So
it makes no sense. This movie makes no sense.
We needed 5 more minutes of additional stuff in here to show him either tear off the good stuff, put it in the mail and send it to a P.O. box in Geneva.
Right.
Or a little bit of
something.
I'm just going to put this here in this safe deposit box in case I need it later because I have a feeling this might happen. Anyway, we get none of that, but we're following along and we're like, oh, there it is. Woo. So now we cut back to London and Penelope randomly stops off at
it's so weird.
A curio store, antique store.
Dude, this whole scene is so dumb. It's so dumb.
Well, I don't know why. Zero payoff with it.
Well, the only payoff is to kill her friend.
Well, to put her friend in mortal jeopardy to motivate Penelope to do things. Like she needed some motivation for her own agency in this film, I guess. But the whole thing is just stupid.
Well, I think it's the only reason why she decides to work with Scaife at the end, to be the carrier at the end.
Right, because Scaife will help her get her friend Susan back.
Right.
But meanwhile, she's talking to her friend Susan, telling her she's staying with Fraser. There's some TT funny.
Oh my God. This more like film version of women in the 80s. Like her whole end all be all is to be with this guy. Like that's her whole motivation for everything in life is for him to finally invite her to live with him and they live happily ever after. It's just like
Susan is sadly main female character's best friend. That is how you write a character in any romantic comedy that you're going to see.
Right.
Right. And I felt like they plugged it in here because we couldn't possibly have 2 strong women in a movie in 1983.
Right.
So either or. So, so she gets in this whole thing about Penny moving in with her.
Yeah.
And Penny then kind of stupidly gives Susan the key to her flat and offers for her and her boyfriend
Ginge. Or full name Ginger. Because I know tons of guys named Ginger. Sure.
I mean, I've called a lot of guys Ginger, but it had more to do with their hair than their actual name. But to stay there, knowing the Russians are going to be looking for us, that was her first. This is the turning point. This is her descent
into stupidity.
Yeah. Right.
Here, stay at this place where Russian KGB agents are going to probably look for people and kill anybody that's in there.
Right, absolutely. So, good job, Penny. Good job.
Excellent work.
So we cut to Penelope's apartment, and up walks poor Susan. The tension music has already begun.
Oh, boy.
Right? And
the music in this is so fucking bad.
Oh, I know. It's so what it is.
Yeah.
Right? There's no nuance.
No, none.
We need this kind of music here.
Dun,
okay.
Dun.
Dun, 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 dun. And what do you know? Boris is there on stakeout. Isn't he in the green van? I believe so.
There's Boris the porn star.
Boris the porn star. Not the spider. And immediately calls his goons saying that Kimberly's daughter just showed up at the apartment. Now, back to KGB competency, kids. Don't you think that the KGB, being one of the premier spy organizations in the world at the time, would have had at least a photograph of a high-ranking KGB official's daughter somewhere?
Yeah. As opposed to just going, oh, it's a female who just walked into the apartment.
Correct.
It's her.
Correct.
Get her.
Correct. Now, I suppose you could explain that off with the movie's internal logic that she's gone by a different name for the last 10 to 15 years.
Right.
But this is the KGB.
Also, they've established at this point in the movie that this movie is terrible and that you should just go along with whatever happens next.
I know. It has to be said. And now that I've said it, I'm moving on.
All right.
So the goons get out of the car, posed as, wait for it, carpet movers. Because now you have the ability to get rid of the body while looking like you belong there.
Well, there you go. Ba-doom.
Ba-doom. Hey, look at these guys being all professional.
Yes.
They ring the bell. Susan thinks it's Ginger, and wow. Just wow.
Bye-bye, Susan.
Bye, Susan.
She's going to get a visit from Boris.
Boris, the porn star. So.
Oh, God, let's not go there. I don't want to know.
What do you think of my mustache? You know, it's perfect for good Russian rides, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, yeah, we're going there. So then we jump to the phone ringing at Fraser's house, apartment, flat thing.
Yeah, and okay, our audience has to understand that we got this off a freebie. It's the only place.
It's the only place it is available.
It's the only place this movie is available. You can't buy a physical copy of it anywhere.
No, because it apparently is not a physical copy anywhere.
Right, there isn't one.
I bet you we could find a VHS on eBay, though. But then we'd have to find a VHS player.
Right, which I no longer have, despite having VHS tapes.
Oh, I got plenty of tapes. I got nothing to play them on.
Right. But yeah, so the movie kind of cuts off briefly right here. So I have no idea exactly where he is. I will say it looks like there's a woman in the background, like he's messing around on Penny.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not catch that.
It's real quick, but it sure as hell looks like there's a girl at his pad in the background. But I don't know. I can't verify it because, again, this is where the movie kind of cuts off in a weird sort of way because of freebie. Well,
it feels very on brand for him, if nothing else.
It certainly does.
Was it the stewardess?
Probably. Makes perfect sense to me. She was certainly digging his chili, man.
I'm going to tell you what, if I had any interest in going back and looking at this, I would, but I will never watch this movie again. There's more of a chance of me watching True Lies again than there is of me watching this.
For once, we are in perfect agreement.
Oh, my gosh. So anyway, we're back at wherever Fraser lives.
Right.
And on the phone is Skaith, who kind of hints that Fraser's off boning somebody else, so maybe there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
We then cut to where Skaith is, and he's telling Fraser that he needs him in the office with Chorley first thing in the morning. Then we only hear half of the story out of Skaith. What? Russian? Not a word.
And then they just hang out. And there's no payoff for that either.
No. There must have been more dialogue that just got edited.
Yeah.
Why you need to edit a 90-minute movie for time is beyond me. Maybe the negatives were bad. Maybe something just, I don't know. But again, at this point, you're invested, so you're just going along with it. You don't give two shits about the logic of the plot at this point.
Right.
That's for after when you dissect it on your podcast with your friend.
That's right.
So he puts the phone down, and then it cuts to a reel-to-reel recorder running.
Yeah, this is so weird because we cut from him back to him. It's like he puts the phone down, then they just cut to a close-up of the reel-to-reel, and then the camera pans back up, and it's Skaith again, but now it's him in a different room with the reel-to-reel recorder and the double phones waiting to talk to Kimberly.
The double phones. Get ready, folks. The payoff's coming.
Here comes the payoff.
Comes the payoff. So we tilt up the review, reveal Skaith at his home with the two scared lines. Skaith confirms that he received his letter with the instructions for the exchange, then quickly switches phones to see if they've been able to trace the call yet. Now, when I say switches phones, he switched Skaith. Okay, this is going to get real complicated, kids. So,
because we got
Skaith has three phones. Kimberly has one phone. Although, I'm sorry, Kuzminski.
No, Kuzminski has a bunch of phones.
Well, that's true. He's got a bank of phones.
Yeah.
So Skaith has three phones. Kuzminski has a bunch of pay phones. Okay. During this conversation, Skaith will only talk on two phones. The phone that he's talking to Kuzminski on, and the guy's getting the trace.
Right.
So when I say that Skaith is changing phones, he's changing phones to talk to his people.
Right.
When I say Kuzminski is changing phones, he's changing phones to fuck with Skaith.
Right.
So,
well, actually, I think to make it even more complicated than that, I think Skaith is switching between three phones. Like he's switching from 1 to 2 to 3. He is switching occasionally, you can tell he gets all flustered. He has to change from one phone to talk to Kuzminski. Then he has to change to the other phone to still talk to Kuzminski. And then he has to switch to the third phone to talk to the guy who's trying to get the trace.
So what we're saying here is, this is fucking ridiculous. It was such a good conceit that got overly complicated to the point where I don't think one of the actors could actually keep up.
I did find it funny, though, because the whole grudgy, like grumpy old man type thing plays really well when he gets frustrated having to switch all these phones and all that stuff. It plays really well in this moment.
Oh, absolutely. But the long and short of it is, Kuzminski is trying to avoid getting caught and detail how the exchange is going to go.
Right.
What he wants for the actual microfilm of the list, and to get Skaith to go along with it.
Right.
So the basic outline is that Kimberly instructs Skaith that they're to meet in Geneva, but that first half the money should go to Kimberly's daughter.
Right.
Skaith then says that a courier will meet him tomorrow in front of some sweet shop near the zoo, and he can inspect the money from there. From there, Kuzminski is to go to the courier to Geneva. Kuzminski then says with a wry smile that he hopes one day that they can meet for a pleasant holiday. That's about as bad as I get, folks.
Yeah.
This just sent Skaith into old man fury before hanging up the phone. And it was definitely true old man grumpy fucking phone situation. Stompy feet angriness. It was pretty great. As the end of Skaith's fury is happening, it cuts to Charlie and Fraser listening to the recorded version. Man, it's like Inception with this fucking thing.
I know.
Phone to reel
but
to
this
tape
is
recorder.
This is a very Bond moment, though. There's a moment in From Russia with Love where Bond and Tatiana are on the boat and they're talking about the Lecter. And Bond is taking pictures of Tatiana and he's recording the whole conversation. And as they're having the conversation, suddenly it cuts to M's room and they're listening to the conversation on reel to reel.
Right.
Like it's picking up, it immediately picks up right into the room.
Right.
They're using the same exact vehicle that they did in From Russia with Love.
Which I think
But you're right, the Inception level here is...
It felt more like it should have been in Top Secret than in this movie. Like they were purposely parodying this sort of thing as a trope in a spy movie.
Right.
So anyway, Charlie and Fraser are listening to the recorded conversation. We find out that Fraser is assigned to be the courier, who will then take him to a plane headed for Geneva. And so we move on to some cleverly located temporary headquarters at a zoo.
It's a zoo. You know why it's a zoo? It's because they were able to get a location lockdown.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, it's a zoo. It's got, and I don't even know if the building is actually at the zoo.
Well, that's what's so weird about this, because they say it's the zoo. It's in this place called Woburn Alley. Maybe this is like a British thing that we just don't understand because we're dumb Americans. I don't know. If anybody knows about Woburn Alley, if it's a real place, I'm guessing it's not. But if it is, let us know. But apparently there's a zoo on the grounds of Woburn Alley.
Which, hey, fine.
Sure.
Why do you have the Secret Service or Special Intelligence Service or whoever these people are?
Right.
I got very confused about this. I'm used to MIs and numbers.
Right.
Why is this at the zoo?
Yeah, I don't know. They've just got this...
Temporarily.
Right. There's just this big estate-looking building where they're temporarily housed. I don't know.
I don't know either.
New digs.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Let us know. Is it typical for zoos to have stately manners? I
Jesus,
don't know.
Tanner. Why did they move to HQ to here?
Yeah, the boat dock underneath it was closed. But you know what? There's this big building over at the zoo.
They've now moved over there.
I hope in the next James Bond movie that's where MI6 is located, at a zoo.
Excellent.
So we cut to the so-called Woburn Alley.
Yes.
Where the zoo is. We see Fraser bombing down the road until somebody blows out his windshield.
This is another really... I mean, I get it that they sort of allude to the fact that Charlie did this, but it's so confusing to me. Like it's just so out of nowhere and doesn't really truly have a payoff other than to insinuate that Charlie's got something against Fraser.
Right. Well,
I guess they technically pay it off at the end because on his deathbed, Chorley's like, I tried to kill you twice.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So, then the gameskeeper comes out. Gameskeeper, by the way. Because he points out there's like 12 of them on the estate.
What kind of fucking zoo is this?
Right, exactly. Well, there's ones with shotguns that are taking care of the giraffes, and there's one with shotguns that's taking care of the elephants. But, I mean, the whole thing is Fraser thinks that the gameskeeper did it because he's carrying a big-ass double-barreled shotgun.
Right.
And he's like, no, it wasn't me. He thought a guy with shotguns around here,
He takes down that gameskeeper, then examines the gun, and is like, oh, it hasn't been fired.
Right. So, long story short, I was left very confused in my first viewing of who shot him because there was no payoff on it.
I was like, are the Russians somewhere?
That's what I thought.
Out?
So, he pulls in the car and tells the guy, send it back to the HQ and get him to put a new windshield into my car. Be a dear.
Yeah.
And then he walks into, I don't know, the situation room.
Yeah.
And where Charlie has set up a temporary HQ, but Charlie comes walking in, shotgun cradled under arm with a bunch of dead pheasants.
Yeah.
Tied up, and it's like, little gift for you, blah, blah, blah.
He just shoves it in his face, like more creepy, weird shit.
Right,
just like, here's some dead birds.
Yes. Good luck. And I realized on viewing number 2, Charlie shot the windshield out.
Right.
Because I'm full disclosure to everybody as we're nearing the end, getting into Act 3 here. I didn't understand most of what was being said through the vast majority of Act 3. Like, again, if I had any interest in watching this again, I would probably go back with subtitles. But as previously stated, never again. So we then very abruptly cut to the Bedford Arms Hotel, where Fraser is now shaving in the greenest of green bathrooms I've ever seen in my life. Everything was green in this bathroom.
This is some like carryover 70s decor.
Yeah.
Still in the 80s.
Yeah.
Hasn't been remodeled or anything.
I don't know, but
it's pretty bad.
It made me nauseous looking at all of that, whatever color green that was. It was disgusting.
Yeah, it was rough.
As he's finishing up with his shaving chores...
This scene is ridiculous.
Charlie walks in a robe, but without his wig on, and you see his very badly applied, bald-capped head. And then Charlie starts going on about how his head looks like a big, aggressive prick.
It's big, aggressive prick.
I mean, some joie de vivre being thrown into the word prick.
Prick.
19 times, I think?
Yeah.
I didn't count. I lost count. This all kind of leads into him talking about the death of Garagiola, which Fraser doesn't want to talk about because it's clear still a sore spot for him. Charlie is basically just kind of prodding at Fraser to find out information about the case.
I went back and was looking at something on IMDb about this movie, and there's something in there that says, and I didn't catch it. Maybe the way that Gray portrays Charlie just didn't resonate with me. But they were saying that Charlie was coming on to Fraser in this scene. And I guess maybe the fact that he's parading around in his robe, just sort of violating Fraser's space in his own bathroom or whatever.
I feel like it was more of aggressive peacocking, which I guess in its own way could have been construed as that. But there's no logical reason for him to assume that Fraser is going to have any interest in his bald head and his brash attitude.
Right.
Because doesn't appear to have demonstrated any interest at any point in time. I feel like that might be somebody reading more into the character.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the thing at the end, though, that Charlie thought that Garagiola had a thing going on with Fraser.
Oh.
So
was that in some of the mumbly pig I couldn't understand?
Yeah, yeah, it's towards the end there.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get to that we'll get to the end at the end.
There you go. At the end. The end of the end.
Right.
So Charlie's basically kind of prodding Fraser to find out information about the case. He blames Skaith for losing the Russian on a bus, but of course, Fraser defends the Admiral. Charlie then assumes that Fraser is jockeying for position for the head of intelligence, but Fraser says he's planning on quitting after the
Kuzminski
mission is over. At that point, Charlie leaves. I did like the little thing about him having 4 different wigs of different lengths.
Yeah, because
so it appears he needed to have a trim.
And there was a good payoff at the end because he even says, he goes, even Skaith doesn't I don't think knows that I wear a wig.
Right, and then Skaith knows.
Skaith knows. Because Skaith knows everything.
Because he's Skaith.
He's Skaith.
If you have a last name like Skaith, you're going to know everything.
Damn
I feel
right.
like it's like a prerequisite.
Yeah.
So from here, we pop in and see Penelope on the phone talking to Susan's boyfriend, Ginger. Who hasn't been able to get in touch with Susan all day, week, month, year, who knows? She then agrees to meet with Ginger over at the apartment.
Which, again, stupid.
I know. So you sent your friend to the apartment. She's missing.
Now you're going to go to the same
place. Your father
place.
just told you explicitly not to go to your apartment.
They're looking for you, and they're going to ship you off to Moscow.
As stated, but nope, we're going to go back. So as she heads out, we see Boris is surveilling and then follows Penelope over to the apartment. So Boris clearly knows who she is.
Yeah.
But they kidnapped the other girl?
But yet maybe they picked her up. I don't know. Let's just go. Let's just keep going. We'll never figure it out. It makes no sense.
All I have to say to you is you're not Penelope, but have you ever thought of doing more? I could help you with that.
Check out my pizza box.
Check out this jar of borscht. I'm the borscht delivery guy. So we cut to Penelope opening the door to her apartment, and it has been ransacked.
Oh, God. So can I just step in and say how much I absolutely hate it? Is so comically bad. Like the moment where, first of all, the acting is terrible in this scene. Like where, Ginger keeps wanting to do these different things and Penelope keeps sort of shushing him and telling him not to do this and not doing that. And then suddenly the Russians are at the door and the door handle turning and they're freaking out. It's literally the scene on the ice in Austin Powers where the guy's coming at him with a Zamboni and the other guy's like, no! He's still like 20 feet away. No! That is literally the equivalent to what is happening in this apartment.
It is so horrible.
Oh, God. It's so dumb. Like they're just watching the handle turn. And then Ginger runs over there and like puts the chain on the...
Right. Puts the chain on the door because that's going to stop them.
Right.
Oh, my gosh. So Penelope tells Ginger about her situation, except withholds what her father told her about this firsthand. Ginger doesn't believe her until she points to the green van outside. That's the apartment that's surveilling.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, don't these guys have a sniper? They shot Kimberly from a good... I don't know.
A good clip.
Yeah, like good 300-400 yards away.
Yeah.
Right? But they don't have somebody stationed in the van that could just
don't you think there's a sniper just waiting on stakeout?
Maybe he was getting lunch. They get the stakeouts, they got to go get coffee and hot dogs and stuff, right?
Yeah, well,
so I don't know. But anyway, Penelope then makes a hasty decision to call Kimberly and tell them the Russians took her friend. Kimberly tries to play it off like she just went home, but Penelope wants to contact the police, and that's when Kimberly raises his voice and yells, "Don't be such a bloody fool, Penny!" Which is something I hear a lot here in the undisclosed location.
I know.
Which alarms the hotel owner, who clearly never minds his own business, as they do, and begins listening to the conversation in total.
I just like to call him the nosy innkeeper. I feel like that's what he should have been labeled in IMDb. Nosy innkeeper.
Exactly. Instead of innkeeper nosedivey into stairs. Penelope argues that if she doesn't go to the police, then Susan would die, but Kimberly argues that the Russians wouldn't kill her because they're trying to get answers out of her. Penelope brings up that there's a green van outside, and suddenly Kimberly realizes she's at her apartment and tells her to get out immediately, you dumb twit. Meanwhile, we see nosy innkeeper shaking his head in disapproval.
Yeah, he's just like listening in. He's like holding a tray or something in the hallway like, no.
I don't think I like this fellow. They hang up the phone and Penny then calls herself a stupid cow because she forgot the phone is most assuredly tapped, regaining some semblance of her previously demonstrated intellect.
Right, it's just sort of peeking in.
Yeah.
But then she quickly goes back to being dumb again.
Right back because that's what's convenient for the script.
So now we get what I was talking about earlier, the Austin Powers moment.
Yes. So just then you hear the commotion behind the front door. Penelope and Ginger are watching the door handle turning, freaking out. First, Ginger wants to call the police, but Penny rips the cord out of the wall. Remember when you could just rip a cord out of the wall in movies? And it was such a, "You're not calling anyone,"
Yeah.
And now you have to throw their phone in water.
You have to, or stamp on it.
On it, throw it out a window.
Yeah. It's a lot harder.
Pay attention, kids out there. This was very important for cinematic history. Ginger then wants to yell out the window for help, but Penny warns that the Russians will shoot him, which they're not going to shoot him. He's at lunch. We established that he's at lunch. And if there'd been a sniper, they already shot him as soon as he poked his head through the window. But then we realize now that it's only Admiral Skaith at the door with his most ridiculously handwritten identification badge that I have ever seen in a movie in my entire life.
It's like, who is the props department in this movie?
I don't think just fired.
I think it was just like an intern.
I think it was Laurence Olivier's library card.
It was so terrible.
Like they had so much of the budget they couldn't afford to have one professionally produced ID card that was going to be in a close-up shot.
It was the least legitimate ID I've ever seen.
If I was being chased by Russians and that came through the door, I wouldn't have opened the door for those people. I'm like, fuck you.
Would you draw this in your car 5 minutes ago?
Did you have your niece do this for you? Terrible. So anyway, despite the fact that his bona fides are pretty sketch, they let Skaith in, and they end up quite Ginger away for questioning. Skaith then convinces Penelope to tell him where Kimberly is, and she finally tells him he's at the Bull Hotel in Walgrave. So we then cut to Kimberly coming out of his room and wants to settle his bill with the nosy innkeeper. But, of course, the innkeeper wants answers about why he was shouting at sweet, darling Penelope over the phone.
Shaking my fist at you.
He then decides to try and call the police, but that's when we get Cheating Chop! Number two from Kimberly, knocking that nosy motherfucker out.
Boom. And apparently sending him down some stairs.
Yep, and dying. Death.
Oops.
I didn't mean to kill you. You just got in the way. So we then see Skaith's car pull up to his house, and he walks Penny to the front door, where he has his butler maid person get Penny some tea.
She's very sassy.
She's like Moneypenny. But apparently she does more than Moneypenny. She doesn't sit at a desk. She takes care of everything.
Yeah.
She asked her to get some tea and food while he goes to his study. We then cut to seeing Fraser with some of his men in cars, headed to the hotel to find Kuzminski slash Kimberly. From here, we cut back to Skaith in his study, and he's found that the innkeeper died after falling down the staircase after the chop number 2. The landlord's wife identified Kimberly as the assailant. After telling all of this to Penelope, the phone rings and we hear Skaith say, "So you mistrust someone close to me? Well, anything's possible." Skaith, upon hearing this, says to change the location of the rendezvous to the church instead of the zoo. Skaith then also makes a change to the plan, assigning the role of messenger to Penelope.
Before even checking that Penelope is even going to do this.
Well, he figures...
Well, I mean, she's listening in on the call, so...
Yeah, she's going to do what he wants. Laurence Olivier, of course she is. He gets off the phone. Penelope puts together that he was talking to her father. She also points out that he didn't bring up the death of the hotel landlord. Skaith says he intends to keep his promise and get Kimberly to Switzerland. She then agrees to be the messenger, provided that the name Philip Kimberly stays dead to the world.
And... It's just, sure. That thing at the end, though, the creepy touchy thing, like he kind of strolls over to her and he's like, "That's exactly what I want to," and then kind of touches her and leans into her. It's just, everybody's creepy. Everybody's creepy in this movie.
Instead of the Jigsaw Man, they should have called it the Jigsaw Creeper.
They're all icky. All of them.
The whole thing is icky.
Icky.
So then we cut to Kimberly as he's pulled into a gas station.
Yeah, a full service station even.
Absolutely.
Fill her up, please.
Fill her up, please. Don't mind that I'm not flying a jet plane. So as he's getting gas, he notices Fraser's car coming, so he bolts out of there.
So I didn't even see him take the gas thing out of the car. Like I was waiting for him to just tear the pump. Yeah, the pump handle right away as he drives off.
Well, that's the thing I've never really liked in movies. The hoses come out of the fuel thing very easily.
Right.
They don't lock in there.
That's true. They do. They slip right out.
So the worst thing that could happen is if he'd had the clamp, it would have kept pouring gas when it came out.
Right.
Except I don't even think they had those clamps back then. So, yeah. But come on, man. Take the time off to take the gas out of the thing. Jeez.
Yeah, just...
be professional.
Right.
So Fraser shows Kimberly's picture, asking if he's seen the man in a yellow Mini. And how the hell did Fraser not even see Kimberly right there in a yellow Mini?
In a yellow Mini, right in plain view at the gas station. The only yellow Mini anywhere.
And let's face it, you're probably going to see a lot of yellow Minis. Maybe you do. I don't know. Again, don't live in Britain.
Didn't live in Britain in the 80s. I'm trying to wonder if they've been phased out by then.
I'm just saying, if you're looking for a yellow Mini in the direction you're going and you see a yellow Mini,
you're going to follow
the yellow Mini, right? I mean,
yep.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
Just from my own peace of mind.
Yeah.
I'm saying. But anyway, Fraser ends up back at the temporary HQ near or perhaps even in the zoo. And Charlie tells him that they're no longer going to bring Kuzminski in and that the mission has been scrubbed.
Very pissed off about it.
Very pissed off about it. Fraser walks off saying he'll tell the zoo people it's over. Then a phone call comes in from the main gate saying that there's an ambulance at the church on orders from Scaife. The ambulance driver wants to know if there's any further instructions. This seems really dumb. It's a top secret mission no one's supposed to know anything about.
Why
but
would
we're going to call and get further instructions.
Well, not only are we going to call for further instructions, we're going to call the wrong person.
Yes.
For instructions. Instead of calling Scaife, they call this other office where Charlie can find out about it and go, I know what that dang so-and-so is doing now.
Yes. So Charlie realizes that the whole exchange has been moved and then promptly gets himself a gun.
A gun that apparently has unlimited bullets.
Unlimited power!
So now we're into Act 3.
Thank God. We're around the horn here, people.
Around the horn. So then we see Scaife's car roll up to the side of the church, and Penelope is sent in with a briefcase of money, and as she's making her way, Fraser turns up and is asking why Penelope is there. And Scaife explains the situation that Kuzminski is merely a go-between that Kimberly arranged to give half the money to Penny. So Scaife still isn't giving away that Kuzminski is Kimberly. So then Penelope enters the church, and Kimberly is putting on a priest collar, which, why? Okay, sure.
Well, he's trying to blend in the scenery.
I guess so, yeah.
Because he shaved off his mustache.
Master of disguise.
And he dyed his hair back to its normal color. So
now,
clearly he's not going to look like the person he was before.
That's right. I do like that Caine, being kind of sort of professional, does wince as he's putting the collar on to show that he's still in pain from the gunshot wound.
He is acting.
Acting! And he's also obviously expecting somebody other than Penelope if he's going in disguise. So he's very surprised when he sees Penny, and she explains that there's an ambulance waiting and that Scaife set it up, but Kimberly doesn't realize yet that Scaife knows who he is. And Penny doesn't bother to explain that to him.
No.
Because why would she do that? I don't know. Anyway.
She's in church. She's afraid she'll have to confess. And when she starts confessing about the plan, she'll start confessing about her
how she paid for college.
How she paid for college, stripping at the clubs before she met Fraser,
right?
Who's 100 years older than she is.
Anyway,
it would have been a whole thing.
Yeah, it would have been a whole thing. So anyway, Scaife then enters the church with Fraser, and Kimberly now thinks that Penny tricked him, but it's really that they're trying to trick Fraser. So, yeah. Sure. So now Kimberly's got Penny at gunpoint as his hostage or something. Not that he's going to do anything, really. But they make their way over to the statue, and he instructs Penny to get the package out of the ass of the statue.
Yes, sir.
But that's right when Charlie arrives and takes a shot at Kuzminski. And Scaife then yells, "Get down, Kimberly!" Sort of giving away that he knows.
And yet nobody apparently heard.
Nobody heard. Well, they talk about it afterwards, long afterwards. But right. Fraser had assumed that he was talking to Penny.
Right.
So Scaife then yells to throw the package to him, but Fraser's like, "No, Kuzminski is a killer. Do whatever he says." You know, because he's still thick in the head. Doesn't realize that Kuzminski and Kimberly are the same person.
Which, let's be honest, if he was a tried and true patriotic person, wouldn't have cared. He'd want to shoot him even more.
Right, because traitor.
Right.
At that point, Charlie accuses Fraser of being the traitor / mole, and then Kimberly interrupts and tells them to move so that he can escape with Penny. So then we see Penny take off with Kimberly in the passenger seat in Fraser's car, and then Fraser hops on a motorcycle
And the most Bondy moment in this whole movie.
Right?
There's a motorcycle chase with a cop bike.
This chase is not good.
Oh my God. The green screen work with the principals, they weren't even in the car they were driving. Come on.
Yeah, so he hops on a motorcycle, and then Chorley's just behind him. And then they all bust through the zoo and even manage to find, my God, they even found a fruit stand to crash through.
The Bondiest portion of this movie. I'm not lying.
Right, let's crash through. This is not a car chase unless we crash through a fruit stand.
If only we had a slide whistle when the giraffe was running across in front of the ambulance.
So after hitting the fruit stand, Penny loses control of the car and they hit something that tips the car on its side. Very bloodied up. I was surprised at the level of gore that they went with.
Yeah, no doubt.
So then Fraser and Chorley stop, and at this point, there's monkeys all over the car.
Random monkeys.
Well, we gotta pound you over the head that this is at a zoo. We're at a zoo now. Chorley then takes a shot at the car, which then sets the back of the car on fire. And Fraser for some reason calls him an imbecile, clearly wanting him to stop. But Chorley's determined to kill Kuzminski, which the other thing is we find out eventually that Chorley knows that Kuzminski is Kimberly, I think.
I think he's put 2 and 2 together.
No, because at the very, very end, he knows he helped with the whole surgery thing.
Oh, was that more of the Mumbly Peg?
Yeah, that was more of the Mumbly Peg.
Wow, there's so much of this movie that I didn't know and still don't care about.
Yeah, well, let's just keep moving.
Okay.
So at this point, Fraser is now providing cover for Kimberly and Penny so they can escape this burning car while Chorley's shooting at them. And then he finally runs out of bullets, and Kimberly is able to finally shoot him and kill him while he's on the ground.
Finally runs out of bullets. Now, he's carrying a 6-round revolver that he shot, and I counted 12 individual shots at him with no apparent reload.
Well, like everything else in this movie. No sense. So at this point, Kimberly is definitely in bad shape. He hasn't really had anybody look at, aside from some antibiotics that I have no idea what kind of antibiotics those were. Not that even matters if you have internal bleeding.
Right. Because did you get winged? Maybe it's okay. But if you got that bullet in you, it's still in you.
It's still in you. So whatever the case is, he's in bad shape and he's apologizing to Penny for accidentally killing the nosy innkeeper. And then he ends the sentence with, "Was bad." I'm like, come on.
Thanks for that bit of wisdom, Pop.
So she then, this is the other funny part, she was like so worked up about the fact that he was dead, the nosy innkeeper. But she in this moment laughs it off because happy endings. Huzzah.
Right.
Anyway, so at this point, the ambulances arrive and nearly kill a damn giraffe in the process.
To be fair, it was a giraffe's fault. The giraffe saw all the cameras.
You've heard his stance, folks. Jason says, fuck them giraffes.
Hey, the giraffe saw all the cameras.
The giraffe was asking for it.
This is my one chance to be in a big Hollywood production.
I'm going to walk right in front of the speeding car and nearly get myself killed in the process.
So the giraffe, whose name was actually Vince, he's a stunt giraffe. He's done a lot of work in out of Africa. He was
probably in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Probably in Pee-wee's Big Top Adventure.
Big Top Pee-wee.
I think he was the character model for the giraffes in Lion King. So, I mean, there probably was something in the script that said, the giraffes charge at Kimberly's car and knock it over. And they're like, no, it's too expensive. We don't have a decent stunt giraffe to take on the thing. We got Vince. Vince is great. These other guys are just regular giraffes.
But really, Vince just sort of walks in and out of scenes.
So Vince was like, this is my one chance to really show what I've got as a stunt giraffe. And he took it.
That's right.
And Terrence was just so happy about the scene. He left it in.
He left it in
because it was quality work.
Because it was quality work, no matter whether or not animal protection agencies came after him or not.
He's a stunt giraffe. He has already signed off on all of that kind of stuff.
He signed waivers before.
He signed waivers. There's no liability.
They've got the waivers.
Giraffe. If you're a stunt giraffe, there's no liability.
So anyway, Penny keeps yelling Philip over and over and over again during this moment, too, just to make sure that we all know that Fraser now knows who this guy is.
Right.
So anyway, Kimberly eventually is like, you don't have to shout. I can't do Michael Caine. You need to do. Anytime I say it, I just can't do him. I don't know why.
You don't have to shout.
Thank you. So They then load Kimberly into the ambulance, and then Fraser heads off with Charlie in the other ambulance. At this point, we're in the ambulance with Charlie and Fraser, and Charlie knows he's going to die. So, of course, it's confession time.
Completely inaudible and unintelligible confession time.
Yes, this is
nonetheless.
all the stuff that Jason didn't hear the first time around, which is fine. I will now explain it.
Okay, very good.
So he then tells Fraser that he loved Paul Garagiola even after Paul left him. Charlie is now under the impression that Paul left him for Fraser, but Fraser's like, oh, you got your wires crossed, old man, and tells him that it was the CIA American who Paul ended up with before his death. We then find out that Charlie is partially behind the plot to give Kimberly reconstructive surgery, and in the most what the fuck moment of the movie, Fraser somehow is only now understanding that Kuzminski is in fact Kimberly. It took all of that. Even after Penny is yelling Philip over and over again, he didn't even get it then. He only gets it now.
He gets it now that it's explained to him directly in Mumblypeg.
In Mumblypeg. He then asks Charlie if Skaith knows, and Charlie points out that Skaith kept yelling Kimberly at the church.
You idiot.
So as Fraser is working all this shit out loud in his head, that's when Charlie then dies. And then we get that funny little moment as they actually get to the hospital, and Skaith asks the medics to make sure Charlie's wig is on straight, like to keep his dignities.
Right.
Proving that Skaith knew
the whole time
that Charlie wore a wig. So at the hospital, Fraser goes to Penelope's room, and she is not happy with him.
No,
but she's a 1980s film character woman, so what's going to happen eventually. Anyway, she realizes now that he's been in her life all this time because of this potential dossier. That's really all it is. She throws it down on the bed, and he's shocked that she had it in the first place, which is stupid because he was literally there when Kimberly told her to take it out of the statue.
Yeah.
Like, why would you be surprised at this? Fraser is the dumbest man alive.
Right. He's going to be the next head of the British Secret Service.
So she then goes on this emotional rant about the loss of her friend and the nosy innkeeper. Again, this is the same guy that she was laughing about. Ha ha, he's dead, it's fine, no worries. Like 5 minutes ago. So now she's turned the other way and now she's sad. Okay, sure. So, and in this, I think she's kind of maybe blaming herself for some of this. I don't know. It's all foggy at this point. I mean,
it's really just a sort of like, I'm the jilted woman. I hate you. Take the whole reason you were with me in the first place and get out of my sight.
That's right. So Fraser doesn't know what to do. And she basically tells him to shut up and go away and take the dossier. But he doesn't take the dossier. He tries to be stand-up about it all and puts the dossier back on the bed or whatever and leaves. And then Fraser walks into Kimberly's room, which is dark. There's no lights on in Kimberly's room. But then Kimberly says to put his hands against the wall and that he still has his gun. And then in a weird, chaotic moment, there's somebody in the window looking into Kimberly's room, and it's the friggin' KGB about to shoot Kimberly, but then Kimberly jumps up out of bed with a gun and shoots first. And then the lights come up and Skaith and his men are outside the window and they nab the guys. It's such a weird moment in this movie. And you can tell it's all done on the cheapest set. In the history of cheap sets. Anyway, so Penny then rushes in all concerned about both Fraser and her dad. And she jumps into Fraser's arms. So I guess bygones are bygones.
I thought you were dead.
Oh. And then she ends up walking out with Fraser. Bye, Dad. Oh, before she leaves, she throws the microfilm to Skaith. And then she walks out the room.
Yes.
So now... Oh, boy. So now it's just Skaith and Kimberly in the hospital room. And Skaith suddenly blows up after looking at the film and realizing that there's nothing on it. He's like, you double-crossing...
Jibba-jibby-dibby!
Bob Cat...
Exactly. Because literally, there's not one word of dialogue in this whole thing that I understood at all. I didn't understand why it was funny. I didn't understand if it was clever.
I know. And why Skaith is just deciding to become friends with Kimberly, the traitor,
so this is
with open arms.
This is what I got the second time watching it. Kimberly and Skaith were lovers.
Maybe. I mean, Scathe seemed awfully sympathetic toward Garagiola.
It's the only reason why he would be not upset that this traitor had come back into his life.
Right, yeah.
Okay, it's not the only reason, that's generalizing, but it's the only thing that I could think of. And with the undercurrent of homosexuality as a topic through this.
Yeah. And the fact that Kimberly keeps inviting him out to Geneva with him to have a good time.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, man?
Read into it what you will, tens of listeners.
Right.
But this is my hot take on the mumbly peg nonsense that I was hearing.
Yes. So Kimberly says the actual list is in Geneva and then proposes that the two of them go into business together for £5 million, meaning that they'd sell the list back to Britain. And then they both start laughing, and it ends in the most 80s of 80s ways. Scaife kind of tosses the film into the air, and it's a freeze frame and roll credits. Whew. Wow.
And you said it couldn't be done. You said, there's no way we're going to get through this. And I said, yes, Ben, we will get through this.
We somehow
managed to bulldoze our way through this.
Through this review.
Piece of caca!
It really is a piece of caca. I mean, I will just sort of reinstate what I said earlier, is that this is what happens when you put all these Bond players together, take away most of their money, and take away Cubby Broccoli to keep the ship steady, and everything goes tits up. This could and should have been way better.
Yeah, all the pieces were in place for this to be a much better movie than it actually was.
I can only compare it to Face Off for some reason because of the whole facial reconstructive surgery element of it. John Woo would have made a better movie. John Woo did Face Off. Face Off was a better movie than this.
Yeah, hands down. But unfortunately, such a low bar to compare a good movie to.
Yeah, I know.
The Assignment is a better movie than this.
Yeah.
That is a better comparison.
Yeah. Whew. You know, if our tens of listeners want to go out and watch it on Freevee, I highly recommend that you have a nice bottle of something.
I highly recommend that you don't.
No, because they need to understand all the ins and outs of this. But
do it. Get your phone ready. Maybe you're playing Scrabble while you're watching.
Have some other shit to do in the back. And just have this movie on in the background and occasionally look up and go, I remember when the CIC was talking about this part.
Because it's real. Or you could conceivably watch this while the podcast is happening.
Yes.
And then stop it till you get to the scenes. It seems like an awful lot of work, particularly for this movie. I'm just saying, I mean, if there's one movie that you probably don't have to watch because this was way more entertaining than the movie.
Than the movie itself?
This is the one.
Indeed.
But if you want to be a completist, by all means, you have been warned.
Yes. And it is available for free in the shittiest resolution you've ever seen.
Correct. And good luck, mate.
It literally looks like when they were doing the transfer, somebody had a high-powered magnet right next to the digitization to create the rainbow effect on half of it.
That was so awesome.
Oh boy, good stuff. But yeah, any other thoughts about this?
No.
I'm right there with you.
No.
But hey, you know what? If anybody has watched this this pile of
giraffe
turds. If anybody has actually gone out and watched this movie, I implore you to get in touch with us. Let us know all your thoughts on this movie. I'm sure you hated it as much as we hated it, but I would love to hear any thoughts you may have about the Jigsaw Man, this tragic, tragic movie. So get in touch. We have all sorts of ways to get in touch. Through email at cicdeaddrop@gmail.com, on Instagram at Central Intelligence Cinema, separated by underscores, or on Twitter it's at CIC SpyPod. There's a bunch of other places that you can get in touch with us, and you can find the links to all of them at the end of the show description of this very episode that you're listening to. And if you found our review of this movie highly entertaining, more entertaining, dare I say, than the actual movie itself, please feel free to be a right gem, and give us a glowing 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, so that our show gets seen faster when people search for stuff like this. I mean, honestly, after this, I kind of feel like we've earned it.
This one, we did. We put in the work. We slogged through the trenches.
We did. I did a lot of notes on this damn thing.
Yeah. I mean, this one earned stars just for the effort.
Just for commitment, man.
Just for the effort.
All right. Well, with that, I'm Ben.
And I'm Jason.
And the CIC will return with more missions, more martinis,
and more mayhem.